What's up, good people? Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. Make sure, as usual, as customary, we always hit the like button on the way in, whether you're catching it live or you're catching it after it's uploaded. Appreciate everybody in the building. I see we already got 17 people right in the building right away. I appreciate that. Come on in, hit the like button. Let's get ready to go. Let's get it started. You see the title, you see the thumbnail. About to get it popping, about to make it happen today. Let's go.
Peace, folks. This is X from TPOT Media. Open your mind and wake your black ass up. You know what time it is. Hit that damn like button as you make your way in the door. Grab a seat, settle in, get ready. It's the Grown Man Hour with your host, my man, Bernard Riley.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Mumia Obsidian Ali. You know who I am. I need no introduction, right? And you're listening to the Grown Man Hour with my man Bernard Riley, heard weekdays right here on YouTube. What do you think about that? How about that? Now let's get back on with the show. Thank you.
All right. Once again, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Sorry about that. Ebony Brown in the building. Shout out to the early bird squad, those that make it in bright and early before we get things going. Says salute, Mr. Riley. Spliff Spark says your last interview was well done, bro. Yeah, that was an interesting one. I like shows like that. I cut it a bit short because I had to get ready for my son's open house, and I wasn't in the mood for a crazy panel either. But I thought about doing it, but I would have been running late. I had to help do some preparation and everything for that. The event was an absolute success. Son's officially, he graduated late last month, did the open house just recently. So definitely glad about that. But I'm glad a lot of people enjoyed the interview. A lot of people enjoyed the interview. I wasn't 100% sure what to make of it, how people were going to receive it. Some people say we shouldn't be even having conversations like that, wall of silence or something. I don't know. But I like to have those conversations. I do like to have those conversations in a sensible way, which I think we accomplished that goal. So shout out to everybody who participated in that conversation. I'm glad. Sorry we couldn't do a long drawn out show on that one. We got in and got out in about an hour, but shout out to everybody. Aaron B in the building. Shout out to Theo Wolf. Appreciate you coming on through. Prophet of Thought series in the building says, wake your black ass up. You know what time it is. Soul Provider Speaks in the building. Nerd Pill supports. Man, I've been I've been in your wheelhouse on my last two Sunday episodes. Soul Provider Speaks. I've been definitely in your wheelhouse. So shout out to you. Appreciate the $5 super chat. shout out to you. Yeah. Uh, Kiyoki Day says, yeah, she was interesting. Shout out Daryl L. Shout out to Daryl L. Split Spark says, congrats. Hood Servative in the building. Hood Servative Culture and Politics Review says, remember, every day there is a guy taking his first red pill. These painful chats are still necessary. Thank you. Thank you. That's what I've been saying. I've been saying that for the longest. There's some people that don't see it. Some people say, hey, we already know all this, or they don't care. That's being short-sighted, in my opinion, and not seeing a bigger picture outside of your scope of where you're at. But shout out to you. Thank you for getting it, Hood Conservative. And shout out to you, says great. I'm messing up your name. Kiyoki Day. Shout out to you. He says, great morning, my brother. Love the content. Glad you love it. I try to keep delivering. But let's get into it. We're gonna bring up my Sunday co-host before we bring up the guest of honor today. We're gonna bring up my Sunday co-host, the one and only the See now, I was about to mess around and say the world famous Ike Ogiyemian, but you already had the applause ready to go.
Yeah, I messed it up. It's like picking your own nickname, throwing your own birthday party. Yeah. So you see what I did? I messed up my own blessing.
Yeah, we gotta over under going right now. He has 2 candles lit. The flame isn't flying everywhere right now, so chances are he might not start a fire today. I'm betting on you not having to. I'm betting on your smoke detector not going off today. Every other day I bet against you. Today I'm with you. I think you got it under control now. I think you finally got it. All right. So without further ado, you guys see the thumbnail. I think I'm doing a good job with my thumbnails, even though his name, I probably could move that up some. But the brother Michael Varner, who's in the thumbnail, hopefully I can see his name in the thumbnail. I might need to make an adjustment on that. But the creator of a comic book with a black male protagonist, and I'm not going to even belabor it too long. I'm going to let him come up, and we're going to talk about the comic book. We're going to get this thing going. So without further ado, the man of the hour, Michael Varner. Welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing, Bernard?
Doing good, man. Doing
how
good.
You doing, Mike?
How are you doing? Is it what are you in the East Coast, West Coast? If you don't mind saying, how bright and early is it?
I think about 40 minutes from Bernard. I'm over here in the Detroit metro area. I think Bernard is in Saginaw, something like that.
Yeah. I'm getting a little big, so I'm trying to keep it low key. Don't be saying where I'm from.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Kind of a big deal, this guy.
People already be trying to find me and stuff now. But no, we good. We good. But yeah, no, I'm about an hour. I'm probably about an hour or so away from you. Like, we actually talked about doing something in studio, but my setup is not quite right for that yet. That's in the future. I'm going to have a nice big setup with lots of microphones and different camera angles and the whole works. But I ain't there yet. But someday we'll probably do something in studio. But yes, Michael Varner. You from Michigan, or are you just here now? Are you born and raised?
I'm from Michigan. I'm from Southfield, Michigan, which is a suburb of Detroit. And I actually went to school my freshman year near there. I went to Northwood University, which is in Midland, Michigan.
Okay.
So yeah, born and raised from Michigan. Dad's from Michigan. He was a steel worker at the Ford factory. So long history here in the Detroit area.
Okay, it's great. So let's get into it.
Sure.
We talk about business. Started out, and it's essentially a business series, but we're kind of transitioning into interviewing black business owners or entrepreneurs, or just if you have just any type of unique thing that you're doing in the realm of business. That's probably what we're going to be doing. Probably going to be interviewing people, and you definitely fit the bill. And you reached out to me after I did the show with Queen Q, the owner of an anime store, and we segued into talking about a lack of black characters either in anime or in comics altogether. And so it was perfect that me and you, we were talking, I believe, early January, and we're talking about you coming on the show. But then you reached out to me after the interview with Queen Q, and it fit right in, tied right in perfect. So a perfect segue because you're the creator of a comic book with the black male protagonist. So let's just talk about, I guess we could just start out talking about your passion, what led you into it, how you started, why you started, and just give us your background on that.
Sure. Well, I really like the entertainment industry a lot. I like all sorts of different like entertainment stuff. I've done a lot of different things throughout my life. I tried the music business for a little bit. I like music. I like DJing. I tried to start a record label. Didn't work out so well. I know, Bernard, you've had a couple of businesses that you tried and it just didn't really work out. So that's how it was for me in the music business. It was a crazy time. It was I say the music business is a little bit like the wild, wild west. So you can spend a lot of money and spin your wheels and not go anywhere. But I had fun, and I got to see Atlantic Records. I got to talk with some senior A&R people. Those are the A&R is the term for talent scouts at Atlantic Records. So it had some pluses, but ultimately it didn't work out. I also did nightclub promoting. That was fun too. I did that in New York and I did that in Detroit. That was a lot of fun. And then I said, okay, well, I want to branch out. I want to do other things. I had taken a screenwriting class, and I was like, maybe I can do this. I was going to get into the movie business. That I was going to try to kind of either write a script or develop a script with this particular character. And a friend of mine said, well, Michael, you're going to have this script and you're going to spend years and years shopping it around Hollywood, and all you're going to have is these words on a page, and you're not like a well-known screenwriter or anything, so it's going to be tough. So why don't you do a comic book instead? And I said, okay, that's a decent idea. So I decided to be the producer of that comic book and hire a writer. So there's a couple writers that if you looked at the comic book on Webtoons and you've seen the credits, there's some writers on there. And then once the writing was done, I hired a team of artists, and they're based out of Argentina. And we all collaborated, got together, and voila, the comic book is here. And the idea for the comic book was a lot. It had a lot to do with black male empowerment, which is what you talk about on the show, and there's what the Black Manosphere talks about. I think a small little bit of it too is somewhat inspired by the whole Kevin Samuels movement, because the protagonist is he is always well dressed. He's in a suit a lot of times. He's a college professor. So the idea is that, and I know doesn't mean that all black males need to be dressed in a suit to be taken seriously. I don't want somebody like Angry Man to see this and go, "What do you mean? We got to wear a suit in order to be taken seriously?" It's like, no, I get it. You can wear whatever you want. You can wear the hip hop gear and still be taken seriously. But in my opinion, life is like a highway. It has multiple lanes. We've already conquered that lane. We already have Jay-Z. We already have Kanye. We already have people in that lane that can do that do the hip hop thing and have been successful. But in my opinion, we've never had the black, sexy, suave James Bond like character. We've gotten close. Some people would say that the Black Panther movie might be close. Some people think the movie, I didn't see it, but the Christopher Nolan movie, I think it's called Tenet. That might be close. Some people mentioned the Kingsman, where they got black people in suits, might be close. But in my opinion, we haven't really had a character like that. And so I created this character called Seth Banks. And Seth Banks is actually a play on words from Carlton Banks, right? So the idea is you make, you got in our culture, what do we have? We have the Pookie and Ray Ray, and we have the educated lane. right? And my idea was, you know what, I'm going to take the educated lame and make that educated sexy. So now we have a black protagonist who, he teaches at Harvard. He's wearing a suit. He speaks 6 languages. He's a cryptologist, and he's educated and he's sexy. And so voila, that's how we got the protagonist, Seth Banks, and that's how I came up with at least his character for Division 6. The other part of Division 6 is like a political economic thriller. It's in the vein of a movie called it's kind of like Syriana. That was a movie with George Clooney, and it's kind of hard to explain, but it had that particular movie was like an international oil company doing dirty deals and things like that. And the idea behind the economic portion of Division 6 is the interplay between central banks and monetary policy and world domination and world power. So it's a little complicated, but I remember there was a discussion. I believe the man's name was Beasley, and you were having it. It was like 8 months. It was a long time ago, and he was talking about the Bilderberg Group and the Council on Foreign Relations and all this other stuff. And you were just kind of like, man, that's really tinfoil hat. I don't know if I believe you. And he was saying, no, the information's right there. I mean, they do it right in front of your face. And, it's just that people don't read it because it's very boring. And, he started talking about the Federal Reserve and stuff like that. And I believe that, I'm not going to say like there's this massive conspiracy theory, but I do think that people need to be more educated about monetary policy and economics. And so the other part of this is educating people about macroeconomics and some of the dangers of or a cautionary tale about central banking.
Wow, good stuff. Good stuff. You said a lot there to
Sorry.
Oh no, that was wonderful. I'm glad you said all that you said there. I got to get up and play with my camera again. I got to pass it to Ike in a little bit, but just real quick, I love how you said well, actually with the brother there, I said it saying here, he's quoting you. He says, "We've conquered that lane," referring to the whole street aesthetic, Jay-Z and the whole works. We've conquered that lane. He says, I like the way the honorable brother put that. That was very well said. I like what you said there, and it tickled me greatly when you said because I didn't catch that when I read the comic. I didn't catch at all Seth Banks. That's a play on Carlton Banks. Didn't catch it at all. You seamlessly did that to where it was hard to even notice that. But I'm gonna pass it to Ike because Ike is over there taking all of those notes. He got some equation for world domination in his notes based when you were talking. So I'm gonna pass it to Ike and see what he has jotted down over there.
100%. Yeah, very nicely put, sir. You kind of laid out a nice timeline there. Now you mentioned that you were in the music business and then you were in the movie. You wanted to do the movie, and then you immediately said that you wanted to write this script, right? So about this character, right? So how long has this character been in your head, and why James Bond? And I'm sure you've gotten this question before, right?
Yeah.
Now, the character, I'm assuming, you want to take a particular lane, which you've already kind of nicely described, right? But why James Bond? Because some people might say, well, why are you reinventing, or why are you going over there? The black this, the black that. We all know that kind of argument. I'm sure you've heard it 1,000 times. If you
I was
can address
saving that question, Ike. I was saving that one.
Sorry.
We gotta go there now. You went there. We gotta go there now.
Okay, so it seemed like the character had been with you because you said, I'm in the movie and I wanted to write this character. I want to write a script for this character. So how long has this been kind of brewing in you, and is the character the main focus of the comic, and then why James Bond?
Those are all great questions. So first, I just want to start by saying I personally didn't write the script. So I decided like, hey, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm kind of lazy. Like Myers-Briggs, I'm an ENTP, and I'm also a Sagittarius. So I
Wait,
know
hold on.
I
Explain
give you a lot of
explain
stuff about introverts.
EMTP. Hold on. What did you say? EMTP. Explain that.
ENTP.
ENTP.
So that's extroverted, intuitive, thinking, perceiving. I think. I
Okay.
think those are the. And so I know Ike talks a lot about
Yeah.
introverts, and I have my introverted times, but I'm really an extrovert, man. You know, I'm the one. I'm the one at the club. You know, life for me begins at around 10 p.m. You know, that's when I get cracking. I'm very gregarious when the time comes. I'm out there, very
So
animated.
you're not much of a writer, more or less, right?
Yeah. So that's why I was kind of like, man, and also I have a day job, you know, it's a corporate job. I'm sitting at my desk a lot. So I wasn't really feeling trying to write, you know, 100 pages of script and all that other stuff. So, you know, I decided like, hey, you know what? I'm going to be a producer instead. I'm going to hire some writers and they can write, they can take the first stab and I'll come in and give my producers notes, you know, whatever. And so that's what I like about being a producer is you can hire people to do all the other stuff, and then you can kind of oversee what they're doing, and you can chime in at any point and say they take a little bit more creative control, a little bit less creative control, as long as they, you know, as long as you credit them appropriately. So, and also it comes with the fundraising aspect too. If you're a producer, so it's a great job for me. So I like being a producer. So that's number one is that I myself didn't write the script. About the character itself wasn't, I mean, I don't think that the character was with me for very long, but it is at least loosely based on, very, very loosely based on, you know, my life and my experience, right? It's based on being a black nerd to a certain extent. So in that sense, it's been with me for a lifetime because I've been a black nerd. I love Star Trek, the originals. You know, I like Star Wars, the originals, 3, 4, and 5. No, 4, 4, 5, and 6. My bad, 4, 5, and 6. So
Yeah.
right.
Threw me off for a second, man.
right. No, yeah. So I think that, you know, in that sense, the character has been with me, you know, for a long time, and you know the way that you know what I feel like Hollywood depicts or what they have depicted when it comes to black males is usually what I call the capable brute, right? This is kind of like the Luke Cage, it's not like the protagonist is like just a street thug. They're usually like capable, but they're brutish, right? Or they just have a machismo to them that is not without the intellectual component. I mean, you think of a lot of either Denzel Washington or Will Smith. For a while, those are or maybe Wesley Snipes, right? You think of maybe Blade. You think of Training Day. You think, well, he was a bad guy in Training Day, but maybe The Great Debaters. I don't know. That's one where, you know, you have a person that's not brutish and is intellectual and is kind of the star of the show.
Yeah,
but it's rare.
So sorry not to cut you off. It seems like they always cast Will Smith every time in the type of role that you're talking about, where he's smart and capable and physical, can beat somebody up, but is also very intelligent. Like, for example, what was the movie with? Oh my goodness, with him and the German Shepherd and the zombies. I Am Legend. I Am Legend. That's the perfect example where he was a. I'm trying not to cuss. I don't want to get well. He was a bad he was a rough and tough guy out there handling himself well against the vampire zombies and shooting them up and everything. But he also was a doctor doing science, trying to find the cure. So he was also the guy holding his own, not being killed by the monsters, able to fight them off, able to figure out how to beat them, but also able to figure out how to find the cure as well. It's like whenever there's a role like that for a black man, it's like a default. Let's go find Will Smith. But I think you are definitely on the right track. How they'll find he's either a capable brute or he's or he's not physical, not masculine, but intelligent. You know, it's
right.
Like,
yeah.
The other.
And I think for a long time, still like the black community, there's a well-defined nerd. There's a well-defined, like again, I think in other cultures, it's hard to identify like the poster nerd. Like if you go, okay, what's the poster nerd Asian? No names come to mind. What's the poster nerd white? No names come to mind. But when you think of poster nerd black, Carlton Banks immediately, you know. He's this geeky guy that nobody wants to sleep with, no girls want to sleep with, and they would rather sleep with Will Smith, right? They'd rather sleep with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So I was like, you know what? We're gonna get Carlton some action. We're gonna rework Carlton Banks to be to be sexier, to be the one that. Why can't Carlton Banks be the one to get the girls? Why not? So that was kind of the genesis of that. I think, and you had one more question, and I think it was why James Bond? And I think for that, it's just a matter of relatability. Mm-hmm. What character gets more women than James Bond? What character is? I mean, basically, James Bond is kind of like the pinnacle of masculine sex appeal in Hollywood. I think it's kind of hard to find another character, in my opinion, that has that. So it's just to give people a reference. It's just to give people a reference point. I think the character is his own character, but again, when it comes to masculine sex appeal, it's hard to argue that the James Bond franchise doesn't kind of set the standard for that.
Yeah, it does. But did you see a problem with because like I understand creating that atmosphere, so to speak, but it's sort of it's basically put in I guess the subtitle something about Black James Bond or something like that. Did you have some reservations about putting that there?
No. I think it just gives people a reference, and I know that there was buzzings about that. I think a few years ago when they thought maybe Idris Elba would play James Bond or what have you. And again, this is a little bit more like James Bond is British, so this is technically a little bit more like Mission Impossible, which is our American equivalent of James Bond. But it's just to give people an immediate reference of, I know I'm about to read about a black guy that's sexy and suave and, martini shaken, not stirred and all that other stuff. Now, but I do think this character stands alone. It's its own character. I was just trying to give people an easy reference point and kind of something to easily understand what they're about to read. But I didn't have any reservations about using James Bond.
Okay. Theo Wolf in the building with an extremely heavy-handed super chat. And now shout out to Theo Wolf. He kind of starting some stuff here. He says, I heard the first issue is being partially financed by a crazy delusional red pill black man who also supports traveling abroad to meet decent women and also Little Big Nate. Who is this crazy man?
Yeah, so Theo, definitely. Shout out to Theo. So comic books, it's a very expensive endeavor. Almost everything in entertainment is very expensive, it's very risky. So I was fortunate to meet Theo in the Kevin Samuels group, the Mix.
Okay, that's what's up.
Yeah. And so we were able to get together, and Theo was able to help finance the comic. So that's great because it could definitely it's definitely a very, very expensive endeavor.
Look, let's give him a round of hit your applause thing for Theo.
Yeah, that's commendable. I'm saying that in my old man voice.
Yeah, that's huge right there. That's huge. I'm a little speechless right now, Theo. I didn't know that. Didn't necessarily know. You know what? Hold on.
Credits. He's in the credits.
I saw Theodore because I looked up some of the people Yeah, I
Yep.
saw Theodore on there, but I didn't. My mind didn't click Theo Wolf. But
Yep. He's
yeah, I
in the
remember
credits
seeing that
above
name.
me, by the way.
Yeah, okay, yeah. There's his name right there.
Yeah.
I actually typed that name in, and some other people came up, but so I didn't. So yeah, wow.
So I can't see the YouTube, but hopefully, if you have kids, give them the link. It's very easy to see the comic book. It's on a platform called Webtoon, which is originally a South Korean uh, uh, comic book platform, and it's unique because you scroll with your phone, and so it's a vertical scrolling type of deal, and it's very popular amongst the Zennials, and it's catching fire in the United States too. So you can just give them the link, give your kids the link or whatever, and they can read it. So hopefully it's being dropped in the chat. Check it out.
Yeah, let's get down to the business of doing that. I was gonna ask you, how do you want people to access it? I wasn't exactly sure how you wanted to do that. If you were
Let's see.
if you
I
were
can.
if so no we got, well, Ike has the link, because I sent Ike everything you sent me.
Oh, okay.
So Ike has the link, so Ike can drop it in the chat. The moderators can copy and paste it, and then they could drop it in the chat. Then anybody listening going forward will be able to access the comic book, and that's basically how you want people to support
Right.
it, just by clicks and reading it. That's
Yeah,
easy.
exactly. Yeah. No,
So they don't
yeah.
need to pay $3.99 or
No,
nothing like that.
not this particular platform. At some point in the future, we might do. So this is a specialty format. It's a South Korean format, and so they have a little bit different way of going about that. Basically, long story short is it's a popularity contest. Your comic book has to blow up. When it becomes successful, then just like you're on YouTube, you can get monetized with Webtoon if the Webtoon editors like the comic book and it starts to do really, really well. And another way is you can link your Patreon. So my Patreon is there, but really and truly, the way to success is convincing Webtoon that you have something
that
worthy
people want
of.
to see. Yeah, if you got something that people want to see, then
Exactly.
they're going to want to work with you, and then possibly
Yes.
pay you money to give to people what they want to see.
Yes. Yeah.
Got
And
you.
then you can unlock content ahead of time. It's called Fast Pass. And that's when you start making the big bucks. And if you look at some of the other webtoons on here, if they're very, very big, like Lore Olympus and stuff like that, those IPs are worth millions. They make movies off of them and all sorts of stuff. Anime is definitely, it can be very big business depending on how well you do.
Yeah. Now, shout out to Queen Q. She says, I'm late, but I'm here to support. Appreciate you, Queen Q. And I got to give a shout out to Theo Wolf. Like, we have some great brothers who are in this manosphere, who many of them walk in the shadows. Some of them make themselves known, but it's a lot of great brothers. He's investing in your project here, man. That is amazing. I'm speechless about that. I've been contacted and have ongoing discussions with with brothers who want to invest in everything. So it's a wonderful and beautiful thing. The black men working together, getting things done, putting money behind projects, and making it happen, man. That's how it's supposed to work. So I'm so Theo, man. Look, man. I already had a lot of respect for you, man. You're doing it, man. You're killing it. But all right. Well, somebody else was in here. Snuggles in the building says Snuggle 668 says, do other black cultures have something such as nerds when it comes to people being smart, or do they just say they're smart people, or they just say they are smart people are smart, or they're smart people are smart? That was the wrong there, Snuggles. You threw me off. That first there.
I just feel like black culture seems to have very identifiable, and again, Carlton Banks, I think, was for the longest time. Carlton Banks was, the example. It's like, you're college educated, or you're educated, or what have you. Oh, well, that's not sexy, right? This is what's sexy over here. And it's kind of like, I don't think other cultures have that in the way that we do, where it's just so identifiable. The whole Pookie and Ray Ray versus educated lame type thing. I don't know if that exists in other cultures as readily. You know, I don't know. Maybe
I would agree with you on that one. You know, generally speaking, it's an American thing, and then subculture wise in Black America, it tends to be emphasized more. But outside America, not so much. There isn't like this kind of all these demarcations that and the cliques that you guys tend to have in high school over here. Not so much over there.
All right. Shout out to Varn James with the super sticker, the $5 super sticker. Appreciate that. Appreciate that very much. We don't got the link. Okay, now we got the link in chat. So that's how you guys can go and check it out. Just so you know, clicks, views, and likes. I'm assuming it works similar to YouTube. Clicks, views, and likes mean the world over there. So there's a button by the comic where you can click on it. I think each chapter you can click a heart by each chapter. So make sure you click the heart on each one. Click the likes. Click the likes. Make sure you look at it. But clicks, views, and likes is the lifeline over there. So make sure you go over there and support and do that. But there's the link.
And again, I know the audience is a little older, so you know, if you have kids, just give it to your kids. You know, I mean, it is.
Oh no, when I do shows like this, all the adult nerds show up. Trust me, they gonna be feeling it. Don't worry. Like you're a little too zoomed in.
I'm just trying to figure out some things over here live.
You was trying to show off. You was trying to show off the beard game. I saw you. You know you've been working on the beard, and you just wanted to zoom in and show it off. We see what you're doing over there. But Ike, on your master board of questions that you had, and notes that you had laid out, do you got something else? Yeah, go ahead.
There were a few things just based on and the questions that I have for now, because I had other questions. I also have other questions, kind of pre-prepared, but these questions are based on what you said. So you've answered the thing about the character and the name. There's something else that you mentioned, which is you hired artists from Argentina, I believe.
Yes.
You went ahead and you outsourced the writing. Now, your personality type, that makes perfect sense that you would be that kind of a person, right? You're out there, you're boisterous, you're doing that kind of thing.
Like, what did you do on your own?
No.
I know you're about to come with it. You're lazy. You're lazy. Oh.
No, me and Ike in our business series, we were actually talking about the importance of having other pipelines and things coming from multiple avenues. And then even though you're not doing everything, because if you did everything by yourself, there's a chance of you possibly making more money, but sourcing everything out, there's more flow, there's more things going on. If you got somebody writing, somebody doing this, somebody doing that, and you got to pay those people, okay, your profits may not be as much, however, there's more getting done, there's more. It's getting done more efficiently. Is the tank is bigger, or no? Hold on, no.
You can scale. The pipeline is bigger. And you can
the
scale
pipeline. Yeah, that's right. The pipeline is bigger. See, I gotta go back and rewatch.
Yeah, I wish I had seen your guys' small business series before I started music and all that other stuff. Man, I really wish, but I didn't. You guys were.
How do I was gonna ask more of a how? Like, well, in other words, if you could tell people as to because for you, it's probably it just comes natural. Like, what do you mean how? Like, I just know this guy, and I talk to everybody, and I just get them together in the room. But how did you do that? Well, how did you find the people in Argentina, for example? Is it from other things that you've done before? Like, you're in the music industry, and you're trying to do the movie thing, so you kind of see how people operate, and then you learn from that, and so on and so forth. So how was all this outsourcing done?
So for the writers, I mean, Google's your best friend, man. I got on Google, and I found a comic book consultant / writer, and he was the one that took the kind of first stab on the script. Like me, with the Myers-Briggs and being an ENTP, I'm an idea guy, and my best friend always says, "Man, all you got is ideas," because my best friend's a lot like you, Ike. He's like, "Man, this is all you got. This is it. Just ideas here, there, and the third. That's nothing. That's nothing." He's a very you want something to grab onto, and he believes that those are the people that move society forward. And he's probably right. I mean, idea guys, I got what's in an idea, but that's why the entertainment industry is a good fit for me, because that's where you can make money off of ideas. Anyway, so I would say that I got on Google. I found a writing consultant to help with my kernel of an idea and flesh it out into a more of an outline and a script. And he did an okay job. We had a little bit of a falling out, some turbulence. I didn't like what he came up with at the end. So then I hired another writer who I also found on Google. And when it came to the artist, I got in several Facebook groups that revolve around comic books and artists, connecting artists and writers. And I was able to find, I went through, and people will post different things. They'll post, hey, I'm looking for a penciler. So when it comes to comics, you usually have three artists, not just one. You have to have one for pencils and inks. Nick, either be the same artist or two different artists, but basically they're doing the drawing, and then they do the shading. That's what inks are, basically the shading. Then you have one for colors, so a completely different artist comes in and fills in everything with color. And then you have what's called a letterer, and that's the artist that writes the little vocal bubbles or whatever the chat bubbles. And that's actually a skill in itself, because you got a little square rectangle to deal with. So it's kind of an art form to figure out the right font and the right size and where it should go and all that other stuff. So anyway, there's three of them. And so people will post in that Facebook group about what they want, and then people will say, hey, go see my portfolio, go see my portfolio. So through looking through different people's portfolios, I found them, and we started working on a comic that became Division 6. And we were actually doing the American style. So we were doing the full comic book, and you could put it up on Amazon or what have you. And like Bernard was saying, you can sell that for $3.99. But somewhere along the line, I found out about Webtoon, and I thought it was a better match in the long term, because you can put your comic up on Amazon and not make any money at all through the way, or just very, very little money. But with this, it's kind of like you start out free, and if you do really well, then you can make a lot of money. Whereas if you start off the bat charging for your comic book, it better be very, very good. Even at $2.99, it better be very, very good, because the entertainment industry and the comic books in particular, it's very fierce. Competition is fierce. It's dog eat dog. Everybody has a comic. And people are very picky about how they spend their entertainment time. So anyway, I thought that this starting out free, jab, right hook, as Gary Vaynerchuk would say, just kind of starting out free and give people a taste, and then maybe it'll catch fire, and Webtoons will start. What the Webtoon editors will take note.
Bernard, before you get to the super chats that you're going to get to, but you didn't know all these. Or did you know all these things about, you need three different kinds of writers and so on and so forth? Or was it just a learning process for you? You dove in, right? Exactly. So
no, I dove in.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I dove in. And I actually have a problem with that. I have a problem with kind of just diving in. That's what I did with the music business.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I dive in.
Yeah.
I dive in, and I'm going to research as I'm going. Yep.
Right. Yeah.
That's a mistake, but I've been very guilty of that.
Right. Yeah. And the thing is, like, I'm another thing about ENTPs is I don't have the same attachment to money that a lot of people have. I'm not really a saver like that. So I'll say something like, I'll bet on myself each and every single time. Like if it's poker, I'll be like, all the chips, I'll be like, yeah, we're about to do it. So when it was music business, all the chips, all the credit cards, all of them, I was like, let's go. So I was like, I'm about to get this artist. We're about to do this. We're about to do that. And many $1,000s later, I was like, where'd my money go? What I'm saying? Wait a minute, where did the money go? It was gone. And Atlantic Records was like, I was like, wait a minute, hold on. And it was a problemo. I like to say that it was a problemo. So anyway, so I think the same was true with this comic book. I was like, all right, well, listen, let's take my spare money, let's take my spare paycheck, I wish I had to put it in AMC like Bernard, but I didn't.
Hey,
I put it in this. I put it in there. Every single time. I always just bet on myself. And so, that's what I did with this. And then, Theo came along and said, hey, man, listen, we can't have you eating ramen noodles till 40. So I'm gonna help you out with this one, and we're gonna partner up. We can't have you spending your last dime on a comic book. So he came in and helped out. But yeah, I will definitely dive right in. I didn't know anything about comic books. I knew about screenwriting, and I knew how to pitch a script. But again, I had a friend that convinced me that a picture is kind of worth 1,000 words. So you create this IP and you do it as a comic book, and maybe it doesn't catch fire right away. Maybe it takes a couple years. For instance, if you're familiar with the movie Wolf of Wall Street, that movie was in development for 6 years. Yep. It was, what I'm saying? It could take a long time for entertainment IP to be profitable. Another one, Men in Black. Most people don't know Men in Black with Will Smith. That was a comic book. It was an obscure comic book that never made much money, but it made a great movie. So just get in. So anyway, I dived in. Learned about comic books, learned about the different artists, learned about how to write the screenplay, and now I'm learning about webtoons and what I could have done a little bit better on this platform. But I learn as I go.
Right on. Good stuff. Ken Dog with the $10 super chat. He says, what's the title of the comic? It's
I don't even think it's called Division 6.
Yeah.
Division 6.
And the so again, it's kind of like a mashup of James Bond and Mission Impossible. So the idea being that this is a rogue organization of the CIA. It's like the CIA has 5 divisions, and this is like the secretive 6th division. And the whole idea of it is that certain people within the CIA are starting to figure out that there's this entity, there's this group of people that are controlling everything, including the CIA. That they're these shadowy figures that have their hands in everything. And that gets to the conversation that you were having with Beasley, Bernard, that there's this group of financiers, this group of very powerful, very rich people that control everything from the White House to the CIA to the Federal Reserve to the different central banks across the world. And that's how they move. And so certain people within the CIA create their own secretive 6th division called Division 6, and they go around and recruit people that aren't a part of the CIA to help them find out to penetrate this organization. And the organization is called the Consortium, and that's actually based off of, I don't know if you've seen the X-Files. The X-Files has this group, the same thing. It's like this shadowy group that knows about UFOs, and they're trying to kind of keep it from the public and at the same time fight the UFOs. But over the course of 6 or 7 seasons, this shadowy organization, you get more and more insight into them. So what I do when I'm creating stuff is I take from what I know. For instance, I don't know if there's a way to present this. I don't know how to use. There's a share.
Yeah, share. And then Bernardo.
Let me see what I can do here. So
you're trying to share something I can, if you figure it out, I can put it up on the screen if you're trying to show us something on the screen. But while you try to figure that out, this is a very important super chat here from Queen Q in the building. She says, Bernard, let me know if he prints any. I will gladly sell them in my store. I already sell Blurtish, that's Black Nerdish, for those that don't know, Blurtish comics in the store. That is, we need an applause for that when I dropped it. Hit us. Yeah. Right on. No, that's definitely huge right there. So we're paging Theo Wolf. As the primary investor in this project. We need he needs a printing budget We're gonna, y'all can get together, worked out, get some actual copies printed. That would be beautiful. That would be beautiful. But yeah, that would be great. But
Okay.
okay, here we go. Hold on, let me shout out a couple more people. I think a couple more people came through on the super chat end, but no, Queen Q, like, yeah, man, y'all just warming my heart left and right today, man. Y'all are really doing it. Um, oh, it already read. Here we go. Here we go. Omega Dreads Gaming Channel in the building, supporting my fellow Black artists and the rise of our talents and styles. And also, I recommend Black Sands Comics. Yep, I follow them on Instagram. I may reach out to that guy. See what happens. Um, but yeah, and as I stated right there, as a link to the comic book. One thing I think I'm going to do, because like how I know how to do a little bit of video editing, and just like how I play these drops, like like I play like these little drops right here.
They are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Just like how I do stuff like that, I can play like a little drop, make like a little quick 10, 20 second, 25-second commercial, and just periodically throughout the show, drop it and drop the link to the comic book. So even when I'm doing other shows, people can still find out about it. I may do something like that, because there's somebody else who I was planning on doing, like making a little commercial drop for on the fly. So that's something that I've had brewing. So that's something that I may do going forward, even after this show, just to get you those clicks and views going forward, just to keep it in the minds of people, so they can give you the clicks and views. So webtoons could be like, oh, people like this stuff, and then that'll help you out going forward. So we're gonna do what we can to help get this thing going. But let's see, we had something else going on here. Charles Faulkner, I knew I saw that. Charles Faulkner Jr., Officer Faulkner, as I call him. Look like he got the guns, man. I'm using those illegal chokeholds, man. Officer Faulkner, he over there flexing those muscles that he do the illegal chokehold with. We don't we don't need no more of that. Even he's been accused of bragging on a stream about how he had to, I don't know, belly to back suplex a guy or two out on the line of duty, protecting and serving. But anyway, shout out to Charles Faulkner in the building. Woo! Comic books. Shout out to Charles Faulkner. Devil's Bane in the building. He said, I'm currently sitting on a bunch of fiction manuscripts and outlines. What was the price per issue you ended up having to shell out for all the art?
The artwork is very expensive. It was, if you're doing the traditional American format, it was $175 per page. So that wasn't too bad, but I mean, a 40-page comic book, you do the math. It's an expensive endeavor, and you should definitely approach almost anything in the entertainment industry, but particularly comic books. You should definitely begin with the end in mind and figure out how you're gonna get that money back. Unless you're a philanthropist, unless you're a Theo and you're just trying to get the word out there, get your story out there, and it's a very, very long-term plan, very long horizon.
Right on. Thank you, Omega Dreads, for the super chat. I already read that one. Sorry, guys, I'm getting a little confused because this StreamYard moves different.
And I would say too,
YouTube. But go ahead.
The that was $175, and that's one of the reasons why I went with the folks from Argentina. It wasn't the only reason. They're called Stone Tower Studio. They were pretty good. Definitely, their portfolio was near the top of quality in that particular Facebook group.
Wait, but I got a business question here. Is the dollar worth more here? Money worth more here than what it is over there? Like, was it like a discount working with them?
Yes,
I think that's what Ike does too. Ike has has Ethiopians working for him.
Yeah,
yep.
So your money goes.
That makes the money work out right.
The money goes a whole lot longer, because if I had done American, I think it would have been probably like $250, something like that. Which is it was just out of my budget range.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so you got something shared right here. So let's see what we got going on here.
I wanted to kind of show you I want to kind of show you what I mean by borrowing from. I borrow from a lot of different influences. So you see, you got Harvard University here, and you see these. This one, you see the girls in the front row. They're kind of oogling over someone you don't know who
That's
it is.
Indiana Jones.
Right, exactly. That's where I got that idea from. So I was talking about X-Files before with the shadowy organization, and this is the same thing where in Indiana Jones you see a nerdy guy, right? A nerdy white dude with glasses teaching. What was he teaching? Philosophy or something? Teaching
Thought you taught history, right?
history.
No.
History. Yeah.
I don't know. It's something like that.
Archaeology. I think he was.
I think that's probably more accurate, right?
Yeah,
there.
yeah. He was teaching archaeology or something, and the girls are digging it, right? And we don't have that, right? Again, we have Carlton Banks, the opposite of that, where it's like, oh, you're teaching a classroom. Oh, that's not sexy. So I got this idea from Indiana Jones. Like, we're gonna have this guy. He's gonna be teaching at Harvard. He's gonna be up front, with his vest and his tie or what have you. And girls are gonna be attracted to that,
Yeah.
So that I try to put in little messages here and there. There is one thing in here. I don't think Angry Man's gonna like this one if he ever sees this. I watch it. I like Angry Man. So but in this one, there's this guy and he comes in and he's kind of dressed a little. He's not really dressed for class. You know what I'm saying? He's not dressed for success, at least not right this moment. Now. And
but either way it go, it's still something to be said. There's a Pookie who got into Harvard. So there's something to be said good there,
Right,
hey,
exactly.
He's an intelligent Pookie. He has the brain power, just was born on the wrong side of the tracks,
Right.
So he's still carrying a lot of it with him. So it's still something to be said there. And first, let me just say I do want credit for catching that very obscure Indiana Jones reference after you clowned me for my lack of anime knowledge. I think I made it back up for getting that Indiana Jones reference.
No, you caught that fast.
Soon as when I was reading the comments, as soon as I looked at that, I was like, Indiana Jones. I got it immediately.
Yeah. And so so Seth kind of confronts him and says, "Hey man, hey, we're not gonna have you dress for sports, when you're supposed to be in class." And so he kind of just tells him to get out. So that's so I just wanted to highlight that scene and show that I'm borrowing from different things that I know in cinema and trying to put my own spin on it.
You said Octavius at Harvard, man. Cut it out. Cut it out. All right, I'm sick lid in the building with the $20 super chat. Kate said, "Can the brother write a story about a black shop owner?"
Is that bad? Is that
They're coming for you, Bernard?
Bad hair or whatever? I think they already did that.
No, I don't know. I don't know what he's talking about there.
No, there's a satirical horror comedy or something about hair, bad hair.
The Weavening.
All right, moving. Shout out to Sick Lid. Appreciate the super chat. Yeah, cracking me up right now. Good Man just came through with another super chat. He said, "Nobody should steal the idea, intelligent Pookie. That is a Hollywood blockbuster." Who wants to make that comment? That's money, LMAO. Fighting baby mama drama by day and crime by night. Cut it out.
So,
right.
I can show. Let's see. Let me.
While you pull that up, the marketing aspect of it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the marketing obviously has something to do with the content, right? Because the content has certain. Because I read the comic. There's some kind of raunchy aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, it excludes certain. Or maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe I should not be saying that. Who were you targeting, right? And then what else are you doing in terms of marketing? I saw a Black Lives Matter article, that article. Obviously, you're doing this interview. And so what are you doing in that regard? And then also, whom were you targeting? Is there a target audience for this comic book?
Yeah. I would say you might be surprised to know, but as raunchy as James Bond is, all those movies are PG-13, believe it or not. So, you'd be surprised what you can get away with. As long as you don't, there's no nudity in this. I don't even think there's really profanity in this. So it does have some, scantily clad ladies or whatnot, but that's, you can still target teens and young adults with that. And so that is the target audience for that. It's supposed to mirror the target audience for things like Mission Impossible and James Bond and other action thrillers. So it's going to be anywhere from 16 to 35, 40. Anybody who's going to be interested in going to like James Bond, going to like Mission Impossible with Tom Cruise is going to like this. I would say it's going to skew just a little bit younger because this particular platform, Webtoons, is definitely younger. That's Zennial, so that's going to be your teens. So I would say in terms of marketing efforts, things like going on this show. I mean, it's hard. It's hard. A comic book is very hard. Like I said, there's a lot of comic books out there. There's a lot of different things vying for your attention. So I do social media advertising on it's mostly Instagram. Instagram's been very good for raising awareness. I mean, this is still new. We come out with episodes and chapters bi-weekly. So every 2 weeks there's a new chapter. It's only been out for like a month. So it's posting on Reddit helps, posting on Discord helps. But in the beginning, it can be it's just like Bernard's show or Kevin Samuels, or it's the same thing on YouTube. When you start out, you're gonna get those like, oh, I got 100 views today. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is until it starts to pick up. And all you can do is kind of post in Reddit, post in Discord, get on YouTube and get interviewed, get the word out there about what's going on. I do my own PR, so I release those press releases that you see. I wrote those press releases that you see. So those are all the different ways that I market and advertise.
Yeah, I like how you mentioned that. I think you said every 2 weeks a new edition or chapter is going to be coming out, because I'm hoping that at least in later chapters that he takes those ladies up on that on that threesome offer they put on the for him. I mean, he
ain't got enough stamina for both of us. I saw that.
I understand he had to go save the world or something, but damn, hopefully he makes it back to take them up on that offer. But okay. Shout out to Corner Store Podcast. Any interest in collaborating with Sean James?
I don't know who that. I don't know who that
Sean
is.
James. He does some writing and creating of the sort. So I wasn't sure if you knew about him. I will find out about him. I mean, he does something similar to what you do, if I understand what he does correctly. I know Obsidian used to promote him a lot. There's actually a lot of people in I think he had a business arrangement of some sort with Sandman, who's in as what we call over here the white manosphere. So he's been kind of doing his thing for a while with that. So I don't know. I don't even know how that will work with any with a collaboration between two comic book creators. I don't know how that would work or what to deal with that. But Sean James is somebody who you just may be interested in just knowing who he is. So I would definitely Google or YouTube him and find his work, because he's kind of been in this business for a little while. A brother who's doing it as well. But
cool.
Let's see. Charles Faulkner in the building. He says, can he create a comic book about a superhero cop from Baltimore asking for a friend?
I'll see what I can do.
The cop has like the Minority Report type of powers, where he could see the future and see the crime happen before it happens. So he's just going around illegal chokeholding people who haven't done nothing yet. He's like, oh, he was going to do it. He was definitely going to commit the crime, so that's why I had to go chokehold him and belly to back suplex him. He hadn't done it yet, but anyway, that may be a bad joke. Anyway.
But he saves men from simping. He's like, don't do it. Don't you?
There we go. Yeah.
I knew what you were gonna do.
All right. So where are we at? You were asking him.
Yeah, I was asking a question about that marketing thing, as it relates to the content and so on and so forth. And I think you answered that. And I wanted to partially give a and then ask a question. Let me give a shout out to the writers. In the sense that there's certain things, certain particularities that, let's say if you're an engineer, for example, and you read a book about where there's some kind of structural engineering or some kind of engineering, or you know how these movies also have like science consultants, right? And then you read something like, oh, this is real, it's true, that kind of a thing. So there's some things I noticed there about encryption and stuff like that. So shout out to them. And do you participate in this kind of research? Because again, you did mention, and we'll get into that whole thing about that whole the Bilderberg Society and the Bohemian Grove and your economic hitman type stuff there.
Yeah.
But how much research do you do, or do the writers do? Because I noticed that they were making sure that they were accurate about certain particulars and stuff like that.
Sure. So this, the way I generally approach it, I'm gonna be real candid with you. The writers did okay, but it wasn't great, and that does happen from time to time. And so a lot of this is it's written by me. So I kind of hire them as a first stab, and then they're on the credits, but a lot of the details are mine. So that particular, what the NSA agents are saying, that's something I research, and I just use Google to figure, what's the toughest encryption that they have and stuff like that, and try to write it into the script. So I'm gonna take credit for the NSA conversation about that. So I'm glad you like that. I'm glad you noticed that. So yeah, I researched, and when it comes to the other things about the economics, so I graduated from Howard University in Washington, D.C. with a degree in political science and a minor in economics. So I'm able to draw my own knowledge when it comes to politics and economics to make that as realistic. But that's me. I'm all about more grounded and and stories that are rooted in realism, right? And that's one of the light criticisms I have about Black Panther is that it's fantastical. It's supposed to be fantastical, but I like more realistic stuff. That's why I kind of like the whole James Bond thing. And Seth doesn't have any superpowers, and so to me, it's a lot more relatable, and it's a lot more. It's something that young kids can aspire to more easily, because you already know that you can't be Batman, you can't be Superman. You may pretend, but you can't do that. But with James Bond or with Seth Banks, this is something that you can emulate. You can wear a suit. You can be a kid and say, "Man, I can't wait till to the point where I can be a professor and at the same time have two girls on my arm, and I'm dating both of them, and I'm getting champagne at the bar or whatever." That's something that you. And again, like I said, we've already conquered the lane of I can't wait until I'm a rapper and I'm worth $1 billion like Jay-Z. We already got that one. We won that. So
and before you continue that economic part, I just wanted to mention. I don't know if you know this guy called Professor Glenn Lowry. You should look at him into that, because he is chilled. He's in his 70s now, so he's kind of chilled. But he was that character. Actually, he got into trouble for it, right? Back in like the 90s. So Professor Glenn Lowry, he's on YouTube as well. His partner is, if you just search Glenn Lowry, you'll find out the other guy. He shows up on bloggingheads.tv. He is a professor at Brown University, so Ivy League guy, legit economist, like on the macroeconomic theoretician type stuff. Not just, he got his mathematics degree at MIT, and then so on and so forth. And his accolades are not just coming because he's some black guy with dreadlocks. He doesn't have dreadlocks, but we know the black guys with dreadlocks type professors who know, let's listen to him because he's a black guy with dreadlocks. No, this guy's legit, right? But also, like back in the and this is all public knowledge, right? So it's not, I'm not, no shade on him, but he used to he would teach Harvard during the day, and then at night he would go to the hood. He wasn't doing particularly good things. So it wasn't all kind of good, right? But he was be over there, gambling and buying crack and, having these extra hoes and putting up girls on penthouses all over town and everything. And then being given awards by the Reagan administration too the morning after. Like, it was awesome. And then he got kind of caught and everything. But you should check out Glenn Lowry. Smart guy. He's also an ENTP, by the way. So you would relate with him, all you crazy MFers. But anyways, go on about your research on the economic front and so on and so forth, and also what you're trying to, if anything, you're trying to achieve, or what you're trying to expose, or what you're trying to enlighten people about when it comes to these powers that be behind the scenes, if you will.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's funny. That sounds a little like me. You know, I was doing my undergraduate. I was doing my undergraduate thesis, which won a couple of awards. But you know, come Friday, Saturday night, man, I was out there, and Howard was ridiculous. Let me just man, make no mistake. Howard don't play no games when it comes to that, and I wasn't playing any games either. So, yeah, definitely, I was on both sides of that. Yeah. So, as it relates to the economics piece, you know, I think it's something that you know, America doesn't really know a lot about. The world really doesn't know a lot about how central banking works and some of the pitfalls of it. And I think that, you know, I just wanted to build a story around the you know, to help people understand monetary policy and how central banking works, and how how central banks can wreck an economy, right, by printing money out of thin air, out of nothing. So you know, it's designed to be you know, an action-packed but informative story. So it's designed to educate and entertain, right? That's how I like to tell stories: educate and entertain. So I mean, yeah, I mean, what on the call economic conspiracy theory and stuff like that. I know Mr. Fantastic, he reads from what's that book? Is it Pride and it's not Pride and Prejudice, is it? I can't remember what the book is called, but he reads from an economics book that kind of talks about all of these different aspects of central banking, and how these different organizations like the Bilderberg Group over time have come to be very influential in world politics. And I believe that to be the case, world politics and economic affairs. And I believe that to be the case as well. You know, he who controls the money controls the world. So that's what this is supposed to try to demonstrate to you, that there are forces. I'm not going to say there's this mass conspiracy theory, but there are definitely influential forces at work that are not, you know, your local politician. There's another level of things going on there that I think that people should be aware of.
Yeah. Shout out to Goodman. Bernard, you're about to read that in a second. I'm just going to comment on the conspiracy theory front, which is that conspiracies are real, right? It's not about the theory aspect of it. In other words, if you I think I was you may go to a particular metropolitan area and all the Dunkin' Donuts are owned by one particular Indian family or something like that, right? And it's a conspiracy. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. It means people go and they plan, okay? So this is natural human behavior, okay? So you're just taking it up from a local scale, small scale, where you and your brothers are trying to start something, and then you bring in your cousin, and you bring in people in your circle, and people have to be vetted and so on and so forth. Why would you do it any other way, right? So, and then as you get bigger and bigger and bigger, whether you know you're the Rothschild family, because people say when people say, oh, the Rothschild, all of a sudden people start thinking, oh, are you saying that this demonic group of people and they're lizards? And it's like no, they're these German family are like, okay, how do we get into this particular business? How do we control the money? And then you're gonna keep it within the family, and then generations later, you're controlling stuff.
I know, but people go from what you just said that made sense, and they go full blown to the Rothschilds are lizard people with an outer human shell that they can zip out of. They may start off talking how you were talking right there, and then you're like, oh yeah, I'm listening. You listen long enough, and you're like, oh shit, he just brought in the lizard people. So
well, definitely. I mean,
hold on, real quick. And one mistake that I make is that I used to make this mistake. Shout out to Mr. Fantastic. He's part of the reason why I pumped the brakes on doing this. Is when people are talking about it from the perspective of what Ike was talking about. I used to sometimes I would apply the crazy part to it even when they didn't say anything crazy. So that's something that I had to pump the brakes on, because I hate when people will bring up a conspiracy theory where there's no evidence, but they have some wild-eyed theory about something. Now, if you're talking about a conspiracy in the sense that a group of people conspired to do something, okay, that's normal. That's exactly what I just described. So that part is that part is fine. That part is fine, and I don't like when those two get lumped together. And there's been times when I've made the mistake of lumping them together because I was so used to people lumping it together. But I've had more clear understanding on that now. So definitely. Real quick, good man in the building. Shout out to you for the $5 super chat. He said Hancock was a comic book too. It's literally a comic book on how a white woman comes into a black man's life and makes him weak. Stay woke, brothers. Stay woke. All right. All right. And shout out to Sick Lid. He says Stan Lee took credit for what his writers created. I don't know is that true to you guys' knowledge? I didn't know that. I think Stan Lee is just the guy who just jump started it. I think as far as I know, he's handed that off to other people. I mean, he's dead now, but a long time ago, he handed it off to other people to put their creative influence on it and get their writing credit and all of that. But if you took, okay, somebody else is saying yes, he did. See, I didn't. Maybe that was back in the day. Maybe that was back in the early comics. He was trying to make sure he got credit for everything. Who knows? I don't know. But
all my people are credited. So every episode, you scroll down, you can see who's done what. So I try to give everybody their credit.
And you never know the deals that were made behind the scenes. If somebody says, "Hey, okay, I'm going to ghostwrite, but I'm going to pay you this. You don't get any credit for it," then that was the deal. Anyways.
And I think one of the writers, John Hallis, he was a ghostwriter, but I gave him credit anyway because I don't roll like that for the most part. So I would say, on the conspiracy theories, like I get it, they can get a little wonkety, but I think there is some truth in that whole deal. There is something to be said about the influence of the Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, the Federal Reserve, all these different, the Bilderberg Group, all these different organizations. I think they can have an undue influence. And a lot of times, like for instance, you just take the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve was created and it was supposed to be this entity that's going to help stabilize the economy. So there's not all of these like shocks. Well, we still have them. So, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you can argue that we were kind of sold a bill of goods about what the Federal Reserve was going to be able to do. And really it's boiled down to, well, every time there's a problem, we're just going to just lower interest rates and just keep them there for forever, which it seems like the case now. I think that it's something that people should be informed about. And it's something that people should know more about. Economics and history is not top of mind or emphasized nearly enough, I think, for our populace. Instead, everything is all about STEM, and no offense, Ike, it's about engineering, all this other stuff. But history and economics get left out.
Mm-hmm. All right. Before we move forward, I do want to take the time and shout out one of my newest Patreons. So you'll see his name scrolling down there at the bottom momentarily. He's some guy with a really funny name called Ike Ogiamian, I think is how you pronounce it. Just became a Patreon of me. So shout out to some guy named Ike Ogiamian, apparently, who became a Patreon. So shout out to him for that. So going forward here, I don't think there's another super chat on the table. And speaking of Patreon, somebody did ask the question, does Michael Varner have a Patreon? And I do believe he just started a Patreon, because I was planning on being his first patron. I was like, I'm gonna become your first patron, because I think I saw it. It looks like you may have just got going with it. So yeah, I'm gonna be your first one. Hopefully, a couple other people will go ahead and join on that. And because that's the way, if you like what he's doing, that's the small way you can contribute. You can't pull a Theo Wolf and and be the majority funder of the whole project, but you can put something on his Patreon, and if enough brothers do that, then hey, that could, maybe we can all come together and match Theo Wolf someday. Maybe we can all join forces and match him.
We could start a conspiracy.
Yeah, that's a conspiracy to make Michael Varner's comics the biggest and best.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
There's some. Listen, man. Like you can look into something like the history of foundations, right? These not necessarily the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, but early foundations that some of the billionaires of yesteryear, got into. And you'll see that a lot of these foundations, they give money to both. They may say we have these particular values, but then all of a sudden you'll see that they'll donate to both political parties, both sides, people that disagree with them and agree with them, right? And so I think what you at least this could be a little bit tinfoil, right? And this is actually in the comic book as well. What you see is that I believe that a lot of these entities, they like to see people fighting each other. They like to see people, having disagreements and things like that, because that keeps them arguing over stuff that is not consequential to the money, not consequential to world economics. So it's like, okay, hey, you guys argue. We're going to give money to the NAACP or Black Lives Matter, and then we're also going to find a way to give money to not necessarily the KKK, but an organization that doesn't agree with that, doesn't agree with like identity politics, and have the two fight. And so you're sitting here fighting, the group for Latino empowerment is fighting with the group for Black entrepreneurship. They're trying to fight over some random piece of a pie, and meanwhile, the people that really got the control and power are over here, like, great, you guys go over there and argue about race or whatever, because we're going to be over here controlling larger economic and monetary interests that have to do with centralized power and centralized monetary control, keeping us rich, right, while you guys fight. So
I see the Patreon in the chat already, so you guys make sure you go out there and you support. Okay, support. It is much appreciated. We can't keep all the burden on Theo Wolf. Shout out to Theo Wolf again on that thing that you just mentioned last, like right there, the bread and circuses aspect. So there is a kind of a thing that just popped into my head right now, which is that I notice that people don't like to do the real work. I notice that people like to every 4 years complain about or shout about and scream and argue on Facebook about the presidential election, for example, when it is in fact does not really affect them, and so on and so forth. However, they don't know whom their local sheriff is. They don't talk about the judges and so on and so forth. In other words, the places where they have the most agency. Let's take the Jordan Peterson thing, right? Clean up your room, okay? Clean up your room, clean up your neighborhood. Who is your local PTA, blah, blah, blah. Who's the doctor? That's where things will affect them the most, but that also takes work. So they rather scream about something else, okay? So that's one part of human nature. So then there's this other thing that says, okay, we need to give people something to scream about. Otherwise, the thing might explode on us. So let's give them bread and circuses. So it may not even be a bad thing. In other words, this is just a thought, right? It may not even be that, oh, I'm the one making them distracted. People are going to be distracted no matter what because they don't want to clean up their rooms. They rather talk about everybody else's room. Come on, it's all the way in the Bible even. Remove the beam from your eye before you look at the log of someone else's eye. That kind of a thing, right? That's what people tend to do. So it's like, well, I'm not the one that's making them distracted. They're free. Information is out there. They can read Michael Varner's comic book, but they choose not to. But if I don't give them some bread and circuses, they'll blow everything up. What do you think about that whole kind of network of thoughts that I just put out there,
I don't know. I think I would have to somewhat disagree with that. I think that there is a deliberate. There's a deliberate. There's from early on, like K through 12 education, right? I'm not indoctrination is a strong word, but there's a flavor to education. It was created by people like John Dewey and stuff like that early on with a way that they wanted people to think in a way that people wanted to be, right? Our modern education system is a byproduct of the Industrial Revolution. To have people be more literate and be accepting of monotonous tasks and different things, so they could have people that could operate machinery and also read, and read and write, because the literacy rate before the Industrial Revolution was much lower. But what I'm trying to say is, I think that it is a little bit of, this is what we want you to think about. I mean, just today, right? Today, critical race theory is like a thing, and they're trying to get people as early as early childhood education to think in terms of critical race theory, in terms of oppressor and oppressed, victim and oppressor, things of that nature. So it's like, well, can we turn your attention this way? So I would say I think it's a little bit more deliberate than I don't want to clean my room. That's just me personally. And I don't know. I've never really been like that, but I think that it does affect a lot of people, and there is a direction that people are trying to be steered. Or
what do you think, Bernard? I'm sorry. What do you think, Bernard? Do you think that, because, okay, so Michael Varner, you're obviously a smart guy, right? And you also know that information is out there. Bernard Riley, information is out there. No one is really hiding information about these kinds of things. So what do you think about the idea that, who's stopping you, sir, Mr. John Q. Public, from knowing and acting the right way, clean up your room, lacing up your shoes, rather than talking about everyone else's laces, everyone else's shoes, and blah, blah, blah? Now, 100% I agree with you, Michael, that yes, there are people with programs, right? There are people with, politics is downstream from, shall we say, culture and academia, and from generations past, Foucault and the rest of them writing books, and now it's in your elementary school, right? So, but what do you think, Bernard? Like, how do you think that, how do you get the person to turn around and just look at the information, which you are free to look at, because they tend to want to be, they don't want us to do this, and they don't want us to, and I'm just like, bro, I don't have any special access. Anyways, I don't know what your thoughts are.
No, I agree with what you're saying, Ike, and we've talked about this before, and that's really a flashpoint on this show from time to time, that nobody's hiding information. You can go get it. Now, people who have the information, who are winning, yes, they have a vested interest in their own winning and continuing to win. So they're not going to force feed information down your throat to get you to catch up with them and then level the playing field. No, they want to continue to win. So I can't fault them from that. And sometimes they could be malicious and maybe do some behind the scenes, under the table, borderline illegal-ish stuff to keep their position. But nobody's a driven person is going to figure out a way to rise to the top. Just like I'm pass it to you, Mike. He raising his hand like,
yeah, my bad.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass it to you. Just like you figured out a way. You had an idea. You ended up in Kevin Samuel's group, The Mix. You met Theo in there. You got an investor there. You used that investment money to find people, to find writers and artists and this or that. And now you're here, and I'm going to advertise for you. I'm going to embolden people to become Patreons of you, so we can all come together and match Theo Wolf. Because so right there, you didn't have any special access, but you are figuring things out. And so someday when your comics are at the top of the list, somebody at the bottom is going to look up and say, what special forces allowed him to do it? But no, you rolled up your sleeves and you got it done, and hopefully brothers got behind you and helped you along the way. So that's how I look at it, that it's about just figuring it out and going to get it. And those who are winning, yes, they have an invested interest in their own success, so they're not going to help somebody even the playing field. So you just got to figure out how to beat the person that's winning. You got to figure out how to run faster than Usain Bolt. That's what you got. That's the name of the game.
And I don't know if Ike was speaking in terms of entrepreneurship, because on that, I will agree with that. But when it comes to just general
I was
learning,
using that as an example, but yeah.
when it comes to general learning and just education in general, the information is out there. So what's the problem? It's on that individual. I mean, you got to understand that in order to indoctrinate or in order to get somebody on your program, you need not withhold information. Where you can put once a person is on your program and in a mind of thinking, you can introduce counter information, and that person will simply look at the information and register it as false, misleading. They'll misinterpret it because they're already programmed to think. So think a certain way. For instance, Bernard often mentions that at one point he was a staunch Democrat, right? It takes a lot of bravery, not effort. It really effort. You're right. The information is at your fingertips. It takes a lot of courage and bravery to think differently and to accept information that is antithetical or counter to what you believe in that moment. Only certain people do that. Most people do not do that. In other words, most people are followers. So when you're asking what prevents you, it's the people around you. We talk about that in the manosphere all the time, right? What prevents you? So if you're saying, if Bernard's all of a sudden waking up to, wait a minute, certain black women look at black men this way and like that, what's going to keep him from thinking that way and changing his opinion? Other black women all around. They're going to go, that's not, don't read that stuff. That's, oh my God, that's crazy. And you're looking at your mother and grandmother and all these other people, and you're like, you know what? They're probably right. I heard that piece of information, but I'm going to dismiss it. And that happens all the time. I mean, I'm not going to get too tinfoil hat, but that's happened with COVID and the origins of where it came from, right? There were dissenters. There were dissenters. Okay, there were dissenters along the way, and that information was treated not as, oh, this is the dissenting opinion. It was treated as false. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that's how programming and control occurs. It's like that's the clever hat trick. We're gonna put the information right in front of you, and you're gonna dismiss it. And it's a beautiful system because we've already got you thinking that this is the way things are. We've already got you thinking that race is the end all be all. We already got you thinking that. So, you don't have to worry about macroeconomics over here. Don't worry about the Fed over here. Don't worry about inflation over here. Don't worry about it. We got you. Focus on black scholarship. Whatever. Go over there and fight with those guys over there about something that's important. So does that make sense?
100% makes sense, and I think that the COVID thing is always so. I like that you brought in the using your whole MBTI stuff. You brought in the FE stuff, that extroverted feeling stuff. How people get influenced by the people around them, which is my blind spot, by the way. I'm an INTJ. Sorry, Bernard, for saying all this crap, but
no, you're cool. You're cool.
I'm an INTJ, so I'm FE polar. I tend not to even understand how people get influenced by other people. You know what I mean? Like it's so, and that makes it's not a total advantage because some people are like, oh, no, it's a disadvantage because you tend to mess up in terms of you don't read social cues very well. You do certain stupid things when it comes to the group, right? So 100%, I think that when you bring COVID, I think that is the perfect example of how truth can be right in front of your face. Hey, Mr. African countries, you guys have a population that skews younger. Nobody is really dying of COVID over there. But still, everyone is wearing masks and everyone is doing this and every blah, 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 blah. More people in Ethiopia are dying from the flu, okay, than COVID, okay? And people don't even know who's dying from the flu, right? But everyone is all like COVID, COVID, COVID. It's almost like somebody was like, okay, there was a bet. It's like, if you watch Trading Places, right? You have these two oligarchs. One was like, people are stupid. The other one's like, people are not that stupid. And I was like, let me bet you. I'm going to create this little thing, okay? Right. And it's going to be right in front of their faces that people are not dying from it and so on and so forth. And everyone is going to fall in line. The whole world is going to fall in line. Everyone's going to be sheep. And we're living it right in front of your face right now. So, yeah, I agree with you.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's not really about why didn't this person, it's not about individual responsibility and why didn't this person make their bed. I think for entrepreneurship, yeah, you can definitely argue, hey, you need to get your own stuff together. But when it comes to just independent mind, having an independent thought, no, it's extremely difficult. And there are people that are very, very good at. I mean, think about Nazi Germany. How'd they manage to do that? Think about Maoist China. How they managed to do that? You know, there's all these examples of getting a group of people to either believe or ignore something when it's right in front of their face. And I'm not trying to get super duper tinfoil hat and that there's this whole big conspiracy that people don't see. But just like, for instance, Bernard, I think now he either voted for a Republican or votes Republican or something like that. How brave do you have to be to do that in the Black community? Extremely brave, I would say, because people are going to ridicule you. Some girls may not even date you. Some people may not take you seriously. Some people may call you a race traitor, an Uncle Tom. So when it comes to having an independent mind, you know, it's really it's about you have to be a good, very good friend of truth. You and truth got to buddy up, and you have to be prepared for you know, a lot of vitriol, and you have to be very courageous.
I think one thing that can put a nice bow on this conversation when you're talking about people being influenced by others or influenced by what they see and that controlling their thoughts. In the first Men in Black movie, when Will Smith's a character was talking to Tommy Lee, yeah. When he I forget the character's name.
Jones, yep.
Yeah, Tommy Lee Jones. Yeah, when he was talking to him, he was saying, how is it possible that they've hid all of this or that they can keep all of this under wraps? People are not stupid. Like, and Tommy Lee Jones said to him, he said, the individual person is smart, but people are stupid. So large groups of people can be sheeps. Now, among them, that it's such thing as an individual person, and I'll use Ike for the example. He's not influenced by outside factors like that. He's going to think about it himself. He's going to research it. He's going to find it out. A lot of people are sheep and go with the flow. But in this information age, it is a fair debate, okay, over how much do you give an excuse for that? You know, we go back 50 years. Hard. We go back 50 years, we can give a pass. Go back 100 years, we can give a pass. People were limited to whatever they put in the newspaper. And then after the newspaper, they were limited to whatever they put on the 3 channels that everybody had to watch back then. But now it's so much information out there. But then I don't know. I mean, we far afield and off subject, but it's a fair discussion about how it's part of the nature of people to be sheeple, so to speak.
I gotta go meet with the Ethiopians soon, as usual. Got my Sunday meeting. Got to whip the Ethiopians into shape. My employees, I'm referring to.
Yeah, that you're paying. That you're paying minimum wage. I'm just playing.
Yeah, good stuff. But Michael, Varner, good stuff. I'm gonna go be a Patreon. I did some research on the comic. I like certain aspect of it. I think I already gave some shout outs to let's say the research, for example. I think the art is also great. And I'll make one closing remark, and it's going to be with regards to what Bernard said about individual, smart, perhaps a little bit more unpredictable, but the group tends to be quite predictable. Not to get all woo with it, but there is an analogy in quantum mechanics about it, which is you get one electron, you don't really know where it's going to be. You know, we all know about the uncertainty principle and so on and so forth. It is a cloud of probabilities as to where it is. But once you start grouping them together due to certain phenomenon called entanglement, right, it starts to become more and more predictable, such that when you get into the macro scale, things are quite predictable. So it's even reflected in the nature of the universe. I know it's an analogy. I'm not saying that's why people, but it's perfectly analogous. The one individual you can't quite know, but the mob, you can control the hell out of the mob. You can predict the hell out of the mob. So with that, exactly. So with that, it's like the entanglement things. It's crazy. So I'm gonna step out and good stuff. And I will see you guys again next week, Mr. Bernard. And thank you very much.
Yep, absolutely. And we always forget to do this. Moderators, be dropping links, dropping Ike's links in the chat as well for the few individuals here that may not be subscribed to Ike. We always forget to do it now at this point, but definitely you want to drop Ike's link in the chat, the link to his YouTube channel. You definitely want to drop that, and y'all continue to drop the link to the comic book, the link to the StreamYard link for anybody wants to come up and join this conversation is down there in the chat as well. If anybody wants to come up and join the conversation, but continue to drop the links to the comic book in the chat. I see Devil's Bane has joined the chat. I got to get a little clip, a little drop, so when I bring somebody up, be like, player 3 has joined the chat. No, just playing. Shout out to Sick Lid. He said Herb Bernard Riley is conspiring to set his children up in real estate and business ownership. Absolutely. That's a conspiracy theory that's going around. But Devil's Bane in the building. Glad you came up to join the conversation. You have the floor. You have the mic.
Hey, appreciate you welcoming me on, Bernard. How you doing today, Michael?
Hey, I'm good.
Love to hear it. I was kind of curious about like what the time frame looked like on starting a comic to publishing it on Webtoons, because I've honestly kind of been in the comedy myself a little bit. I was kind of trying to do everything on my own, so I got kind of burnt out doing that. Then work kind of took over my time, so it's just kind of been, a little bit of a mess on my end, honestly. But trying to, get together, and honestly, hearing your stories like kind of inspiring me to try to get back on the saddle a little bit. So I was just curious if you had any like tips or pointers or anything like that.
Yeah, I would say, well, number one, try to do one or the other. Like me, I have a corporate day job, so I had the money where I could be a producer and I could hire everybody else to do everything. So if you are an independent creator, you don't have a staff, then I would say still to write and to do the artwork, so to do both, that's a lot. So if you are primarily a writer and that's your interest, do that and partner with the artist, or partner with a studio or the 3 artists that you need, or if this the other way around and you can do pencils, inks, and letters, then maybe have somebody else do the writing. But if you want to do it all, that's fine, because there are people that make millions, especially on Webtoons, that do it all. So if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. And don't worry about publishing. So Webtoons is kind of like, they prefer if you publish weekly on the same schedule, just like a TV show or something like that. But if you can't do that, that's fine. And I know one young lady, I don't recall the name of the Webtoon off the top of my head, but she only does once a month, and she got like 60,000 subscribers or something like that. So it's possible. Just go at a pace that is comfortable for you, where you can produce the quality, where you can produce quality content, because it has to be high quality. It has to be engaging. The standards are very, very high. So don't rush it. Those are the few tips that I can give you.
I definitely appreciate that. So from the conception of you having the comic, I mean, I know that you kind of talked about like some of the different things like you learned along the way and all that, but I was curious what the time frame kind of looked like.
Yeah, it took it took about a year, but that was because we started off in one format and then switched to Webtoons. So I think we could have done it in about 6 months. And it probably can be done even sooner if you're doing it all yourself. And if you got an idea, you got the inspiration. It doesn't have to take that long. But the art process does take a little while. So that's kind of hard to speed up. But the writing, I mean, you could write something in a weekend or a week, and then get with the artists and get rolling. So I would say somewhere between 3 and 6 months.
When you say the art takes a while, I guess I'm slightly confused about that. Like, what exactly takes a while? It's okay. In my mind, it's just drawing and then
I can touch on that a little bit. So the art was actually the thing that burnt me out.
Explain why that's so time consuming.
Go ahead.
Yeah. You go, Dave, and then Michael get next on that one.
So like after I have my script and everything outlined, like how I want the comic to like start and end, I basically go in with like rough thumbnail sketches of like each panel, and then from there, I want to make sure that everything is like at a dynamic, interesting angle, and everything like all the characters are like framed and composed in a way that looks good and all that kind of a thing. Then from there, you go over that with like harder, well, like I do it all digitally in Krita, so it's not really like I'm doing it by hand or anything, but from then you go over a layer on top of that with like inks and everything just to kind of like outline the figures, a little bit more details and all that kind of a thing. And like that alone takes a while. Then on top of that, you add flat colors, and flat colors are just solid colors, like no lighting or shading or anything like that. So it's just basic colors. And that also like every one of these steps will take a minute. Like it's it's a lot that goes into each part of the process. And that's why I burnt out, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, long story short, Bernard, without getting into too much jargon, every single aspect is highly detailed and highly meticulous. So it's not hand drawn, but it's close enough to where, I mean, they have to basically from scratch draw whatever it is in there. If you say, okay, it's a downtown a setting and it's a car chase and he's in the car, they have to draw that. They have to draw all the buildings, all the little windows, all the colors, everything has to be done. So it's asking that question is a little bit like asking, why does a movie take so long to produce? It's like, well, you got cameras, you got angles, you got editing, you got all this stuff. It's very similar in comics. It's not the same, obviously. There's no video, but it's very meticulous work that does take quite a while.
Yeah, that's why I thought that it would be faster, because it's not all those moving parts. Like I get getting the scene in a movie correctly, but in the mind of the layman, you know how you see somebody draw a picture outside, and then they, like in a relatively short amount of time, they'll have a whole picture and everything drawn up. And so I was just thinking that, okay, just the artist just needs to draw it and then add color. So I was just in my mind, I was thinking it was just a quicker process, because I've always been confused about that, because there's some I know that some people, when they produce comics, because there's some comics that I've looked at and I've followed, and I understand that they come out. I could tell it's a long process, because if you look at the comment section of any comic, they're always saying, when are you going to upload it some more? When are you going to drop some more? When are you going to add some more? And it's always a long gap between when he's producing more. They're like, man, we want to see this story finish. When is it going to finish? And that had me thinking, it must be a long, tedious process to getting this done, because but I never understood how that tedious process actually worked. In my mind, it seemed like it was something that would go a little faster, but I understand what you guys are saying. There's definitely
I would say
more to it.
I would say for the American style wide panel comic book, you could go at 2 pages per week, and each comic book page has somewhere between 5 and 8 panels. Let's say 6 panels. Panels are the little squares that you see with the action. So you're talking about, somewhere between 12 and 16 panels a week. That's a decent speed. And if you're doing 3 pages a week, well, that's 12 pages a month. And a comic book is like either 20 to 40 pages long or something like that. So that's just that, and that's at a rapid pace. We're not even talking about writing. You still got to write the thing. So, unless you have a staff, I mean, I have like I said, there's 5 people that worked on this thing, including me.
So somebody trying to do it by themselves, they're going to be overworked. It's almost, I imagine there's somebody that's doing it, but they got a lot of work on their hands, and they're doing all the writing, the whole concept and everything, and then the illustration, and
so keep it to once a month, Devil's Bane, and don't skimp on the quality. Make sure that the story is engaging, and make sure that the artwork is on point. And it's particularly for webtoons, do manga style, even if you don't. Some people are going to say draw in whatever style you want, but I'm gonna go ahead and tell you from an entrepreneurial standpoint, stick to manga style.
I've seen the front page. It's all that cutesy anime style. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Officer Faulkner is in the building. I hope my screen. Y'all can still hear me just fine, right?
Yeah.
Everybody can hear. Okay, good. Yeah, my screen did something funny. I didn't know if the audio did something funny too, but I'm glad y'all can still hear me. Officer Faulkner, have you seen the movie Minority Report?
Of course.
Okay, good. So did you like my idea about the precognition super police officer who could see crimes happen before they were committed? So he's just going around belly to back suplexing guys before they even did anything. How you like that?
I wish that would have legal precedence, but can't arrest the guy. Can't arrest the guy unless he's attempting to, or you have some type of conspiracy.
But that was the premise in Minority Report. They were arresting people for crimes that they were going to commit in the future. I love that movie. But anyway.
Yeah, with that. Good luck with that. Hey, in the year 2034, you're going to commit a murder. It's 2021.
Right. They just catching guys just eating breakfast with their family, just coming in there and taking them away. I was like, damn.
Well, that was called Iraq. That was called Iraq. Like, hey, we were seen setting out IEDs. Come with us quietly.
Yeah. You got some slight audio problems, but I'm going to pass it to you. I think you got a question. You got a question for Michael Varner, but if you could do something to fix that or get to a different location, and I got to run and grab some more coffee real quick, but I'm gonna pass it to you so you can get your question out to Michael Varner, and then I see you, Theo Wolf, and then we got to go to Theo Wolf, who's the man behind the scenes of this great operation. So I definitely got to get to Theo Wolf,
executive producer.
Yes. I'm gonna pass it to Faulkner right now. Yeah, your audio is. Your audio is bad, so try to get your question out quickly, and then mute up after that because you got some rumbling in the background. But go ahead, I'm gonna pass it to you, Officer Faulkner. You got it.
Okay, about the park. I said I was loving the fact that we have more Black creators because a lot of people have these issues of comic books. Like, hey, instead of changing the color of Superman or Batman, why not just make your own damn character, a brand new character, and follow his brand new story?
Yeah. I tuned in for the last Sunday's show kind of late, but I did hear that that kind of exchange. And I mean, I would say this. I would say, go easy on the guys that make these entertainment related decisions that you may not totally agree with. You're like, oh man, why don't you just go do this? It's kind of like, I understand what you're saying, Officer Faulkner, but from their perspective, when you're in charge, when you're controlling multi-million-dollar budgets and you're trying to figure out, okay, well, we want to go this, quote, diversity angle or do this thing, but do we want to take new IP, intellectual property that may or may not do well, or do we want to bet on a sure thing with a budget of 10 million? And they're always going to try to bet on the surest thing. And so it's because the entertainment industry is highly risky and it is a business and they want their money back. So that's kind of the reason why they are averse to, new content and would rather just kind of do a black Spider-Man and be done with it. Can't say I blame them, but I agree with you that it would be nice if they.
Yeah, I understand. I understand what they're doing because hey, they got to make the money to get a crash grab.
Yeah,
but I see a lot of guys, and I'm like, you got to be able to get your writers and your artists and your inkers, people like that involved due to the fact that you got to have some new blood. And I understand what they're doing with the old hey, we're gonna have a Filipino Captain America, whatnot, and stuff like that. But but at least have a separate book or two for newer artists and writers so they could get their feet wet and get familiar with fans.
Hey, that's what we're trying to do. That's what me and Theo are trying to do. And the more people that support, the more people that are interested, because that's what in when it comes to original content, that's I think really what Hollywood is kind of looking for. You can pitch to them, you can try to pitch to them, and they may be interested, but what they want to see is how successful you are already. And so it's like, oh, okay, well, a million people already like this. So, we'll rock with you. We'll rock. What you want to do? Animated movie? What you want to do? Animated series? But if it's something brand new, you're an unknown writer, unknown artist, you're gonna have to build a fan base first.
Oh yeah, that's tough. That's tough because hell, I had to get back into drawing my damn self, and I was like, wow, I'm actually kind of fucking talented. Damn, it took a long time to finish this picture.
That's why I didn't do it. And I think if I had done it myself and tried to write the script all by myself, or I'm not an artist, so I would have had to hire the artist, but I think it would have taken a lot longer. The fact that I put money behind it, so I knew that it was going to be done and it was going to be put out, and then I was able to get an investor, and that helped things and accelerated things even more.
Yeah, and it's
right.
funny when y'all were talking about that. I was gonna say this last part. It's funny that you talked about how tedious it can be. I said, hey, I draw. Just got back into it because I got 8 freaking panels and clips and boards and all this stuff. And I'm like, damn, I forgot how long this takes to make it look good.
It does.
But thanks again. God bless. Hope to see you again. Salute. And also, God, hopefully we see you up there, doing the next Invincible,
Hey,
one of these.
I've got a lot of great ideas, and even for this, there's a backstory to this that when I got with the writers, they were like, you got to save that story for later. So it's a little like Star Wars. I can't wait to tell episodes, 1, 2, and 3, because there is a backstory to set things that I think will be interesting. But let's get this popping first, and then I'll go back to.
Definitely. I like to put my email to keep in touch with you, man.
Okay.
And pass the mic.
Yep, definitely. Speaking of, because I damn, okay. I'm sorry. I got multiple things going on. Okay, anyway, going to the executive producer, the man behind the scenes. I think you on mute, Theo Waff.
Yep.
Somebody made fun of. I don't know why I always say Wolf, but does that WAF stand for something?
Yes, it's actually web application firewall. It was because when I was in the manosphere originally, I made a different profile when I started making comments online, and it was related to my Gmail account, and so I just wanted to know which Gmail account I was using. I never thought I would use my name or do a public comment or show my face or anything. So that's the way. Okay. That's why Theo.
All right. So I'm going with Theo going forward.
Yeah, Theo's fine.
Theo. But all right. The executive producer, the man behind the scenes, who helped to make this possible here. So, man, go ahead. You got the floor. You got the mic.
Sure.
Take it wherever you want to take it, man.
I just want people to know that I have extreme confidence in what Michael is doing, and he and I talked back and forth for quite a while over what his vision was and what his message was. And I didn't just sit back, it wasn't like he just sent one message to me from the mix and said, hell, this is okay, black protagonist, black 007. And I said, oh, okay, here's my money. No, it wasn't like that at all. We went back and forth. We talked about it and really well. And one of the things that really struck me was not only was he devoted towards this, but he had also suffered failures in life. He had known what it was to have a business failure before, and he knew what struggle was like. I'm going to tell you, a lot of times when we talk, he doesn't have everything perfect for him. I'll say that. It's he's struggling in his personal life, but he has this vision. He has this drive, this devotion, and his mission in life. And I was like, okay, yeah, all right, I'll write out checks for you. I'll definitely finance this. And you of course, Bernard, Little Big Nate. I'm his one backer right now. I'm giving Michael Varner here 10 times what I've given Little Big Nate. So it's a significantly bigger number, and I'm more than happy to do this because hey, I think this is the message that we need to have. I think that it was ridiculous to way that they're doing 007 right now in the next movie and how it's being cast. I was like, this is BS. It needed to go to us. entirely, and it needed to have this message exactly the way that Varner is describing. And I was like, "You got it. You've got the writing. You've got the message. You got the vision. All right." And so I'm more than happy to do this, and I hope you guys in the audience, I hope that you all enjoy this, and you keep on being subscribers, and you keep on going for a long time, and keep on supporting the product.
All right, and I see I just clicked right there where South I don't know what to do. Oh, Southern. Okay, that 3 is an E. Okay, Southern Comfort just became a Patreon. Shout out and salute to you. And I'm on the Patreon page right now. I see it only says $1 for an option. So I'm trying to make a custom pledge here. You need to make I would say start out with 5. Go 5, 10, 20, and 50, 100. Don't I mean, every dollar counts, but I would start with 5, brother. Come on.
Well, I might consider that. I think for Patreon, it's considered kind of like a virtual tip jar, really.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, for this particular medium, it's considered a virtual tip jar because if I do the multiple tiers, then we have to come up. I would have to come up with a lot of different things for those tiers.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we can do that. So when it comes to the relationship between Patreon and Webtoons, because if you can go to the comic and it says, become a patron. And the idea is that you're just supporting the content that's already developed. It's already done. And you're just kind of, hey, I like this. Here's a tip for you.
Right. Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, I totally get it, totally understand. And I'm trying to get to pay. Yeah, I'm trying to put something on your Patreon right now as we speak, doing 2 things at one time. But shout out to Reynold Cherry. Appreciate the $5 super chat. Appreciate everybody who supports this content. One question that I wanted to ask you, this is piggybacking on something that we talked about before, because I never thought about it when it came to comic books, how there had to be, there's 2 different types of writers, so to speak, where there's the person who just writes the story, basically just the script, so to speak. There's almost like a script writer. Then what's in the script and what's in the story is sort of different from what's in the bubbles, because that's just dialogue, really, you see. So there's almost like a dialogue writer than an actual story writer. Did you even know I don't know if you said it earlier, did you know that going in? And then it's like how did that just explain how that whole process works, the whole thought behind that, because that was a concept I never even thought about.
Well, there's no hard and fast rule, so I want to make that clear. Like, if you're writing your own comic book, you're gonna write the dialogue, the characters, the setting. You're gonna write the whole thing. You're gonna write the whole script. So it's not like there's 2 separate writers. Now there is a separate artist for the words, but not necessarily a separate writer. Now once you like comic book writing and screenwriting, are very similar. And I had already had some experience with screenwriting, and so there's just a couple more elements to comic book writing because it is a comic book. So you don't have like a unit production manager or unit production. Unit production manager or like a line producer or something like that to create a shooting script for you in comic books. So comic books is kind of like a combination of a shooting script in film and the initial story script. So I guess the thought process behind it is just, you just got to get out there. You just got to get out there and do it. But there's no process other than either you yourself looking up how to write a comic book script or hiring a comic book writer to write the script for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Devil's Bane, you've been quiet for a while. You got anything else to add? Any other questions to throw out on the table there? Just passing it back to you.
Not too much. I'm a little bit curious though. At what point did you kind of come to that conclusion that the anime style would be a better style of art than like the traditional Western style comic?
Well, I think for Webtoon, once I switched over and decided to put this on Webtoon, that's when I was like, oh, for this particular platform, you should always begin with the end in mind. And for this particular project, I had to learn a lot. So I had to, I didn't begin with the end in mind because I didn't even know what the end really looked like other than let's get this comic book, let's get it going. I would say that once I got on Webtoon and started to see what was successful, right? That's the end. The end is who's making all the money, right? And once I figured out that, okay, yeah, they like a certain style, a certain thing, right? And they're used to seeing that. So when they see that, they're happy. And if they don't see that, it's not a ding. For instance, there's a successful Webtoon that actually the rapper Common created. It's called Caster. It's also on Webtoon. But you can tell that even with all of Common's, you can tell they put money behind it. They probably put some marketing behind it, and even all Common's followers and stuff like that. It still pales in comparison to something like Lore Olympus. And the reason why is because it's in a Western format on a South Korean platform. So you really have to consider, your target demographics or what have you. But if you're not spending a whole lot of money and you're trying to make a point, you're trying to just, you just want to get it out there, then that's one thing. But if you're trying to have Webtoons come in and start to pay you big money and, you get the fast pass, think about that, then you have to consider what that audience wants to see in what you're doing, right? And it was the same thing in the music business. I had to tell a lot of, artists, they might be like, hey, I got my own vibe. I got my own sound. And people gonna mess with it. People gonna F with me because they like the way that I'm doing XYZ. And I'm like, yeah, that could happen. Yep. But they're also used to commercialized music. They're used to a certain sound. So not everybody can just get away with being this breakout different person. You might have to integrate some commercial flavor into what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense, actually.
I
do have one other question.
Oh yeah, go ahead. You got it.
I want to know, is the Webtoon was it designed in such a way that you can like translate that into like a print if you wanted to easily, or is that like?
Yeah, I started thinking that I was gonna put this on Amazon and sell it on Amazon for $5.99. I don't know. That's how I originally started, but I was kind of like, I was kind of looking and I said, if we start even at $2.99 or something, like I said before, the competition is very fierce. And your comic book better be very, very good, or you better already have a fan base. And I didn't have a YouTube. I didn't have anything. So, I was either going to have to build a massive fan base and then, try to point them over to Amazon to buy the comic, or just put it out there for free. And then as it builds momentum, start to get a piece of ad revenue and fast pass and do it that way. And so I decided to switch over and do it that way. Just put it out for free and build something over time. I'm sorry. It's a little. What was your question again?
That makes sense. You basically answered it, but it was did you design it with the print in mind? Or
right. So for print, so you can always go back and Webtoons is a small format. It's built for your cell phone, but you can always go back and make a full size comic, and you can say, hey, we're doing a special edition, full size is going to be available, a year from or whatever, or however long it takes to develop it. And then it'll be available for like a month, right? You could do a limited edition, and that could be extremely, extremely lucrative. So let's say you get 50,000 subscribers, and then you let your 50,000 subscribers know that, hey, if you like this one, we're gonna have the full thing, so you can see all the pictures. And let's say only half of them, 25,000 are interested. Well, what's 25,000 multiplied by $2? You sell it for $2. That's $50,000. I mean, it may not be Kevin Samuels' money, but you know what I'm saying? That's a lot of money.
That's not bad. That's not bad. You can flip that pretty easily, honestly. So,
right. Don't get started on. Let's say your comic on Webtoons starts to do really well. Let's say you start to get 1 million subscribers, and then Webtoons comes in and they partner with you, so they start paying you. They don't really pay all that much, but they include you in Fast Pass, which is you do episodes ahead of time, and people pay a small amount, microtransaction like $1, to see the next episode ahead of time. Well, if you got 1 million subscribers and only half of them are interested in that, that's 500,000 subscribers, and they're paying $1 to see the next episode earlier than most people. That's $500,000 each and every episode. You know what I'm saying? So you can see how they're making quite a bit of money. The company that owns Webtoons, the South Korean company, I think it's called Naver Corporation or something like that. They're making a lot of money.
Are there
on their most
successful like the very
intellectual property? What's that?
At like the pinnacle of Webtoon creators, like, are there really like that many like million sub creators out there even?
No, I mean, it's just like, that's asking like, are there many million sub YouTubers? No. Most of them are, you know, they each can get in where they fit in. Just like Bernard was saying, some of them have Patreon tiers. If they can sustain that, and they can come up with bonus content, you know, every couple of weeks to every month, then they may be able to sustain themselves through Patreon. But you know, there's not a whole lot of them. Yeah, no.
That's understandable.
Nigatar, with one of the funniest YouTube avatar names ever, Nigatar, says, question, with hip-hop artists basically being comic book characters, how hasn't there been a comic book called Battle Rappers yet? Instead of making Spider-Man black or slapping a black coat of print on an already white concept.
I think we kind of talked about that.
Yeah. Some people come in late and they yeah. So you gotta answer it again. Go ahead, just go ahead.
Yeah. And I think so I already said the bit about it being very risky, but that also goes to but the thing is, that's kind of almost the opposite of what was talked about last week, when I believe there was a comment on why do these they concentrated on making, I think it had to do with the new Netflix anime that has a black samurai, and they said they concentrated on making the character like too black or something like that. I can't quite remember what the commentary was, but I think it had something to do with that. But I think just in general, you have to understand that the entertainment industry, especially comic books, or anime or something that is not traditional in Western society, is highly risky. And you gotta understand, and most black people aren't, I'm gonna be frank with you, most black people are not interested in anime. It's a Asian, for the most part, it's an Asian thing. Webtoons is an Asian company. Manga is a Japanese type of thing. The French have a healthy comic book ecosystem, what have you. But outside of Marvel, we don't, especially not anime style, manga style comics. We don't really do that here. So, you're asking, why don't they create this? Why don't they create that? I mean, it's risky, and they have budgets, and they must get their money back. So the story's got to be good, the artwork's got to be good, and it's risky to take it's risky to take risks on new original IP that is unproven intellectual property. So you have to do that yourself, or pitch it to whoever you're going to pitch it to try to get it.
I think one way that could be done is, let's just say, a creator like yourself, like you've come in when you have a James Bond like character, black, you build a following, and you become big, and you become successful. People they can't wait for this next new thing that Michael Varner is going to drop. Then I think you can take more creative liberties and then create something completely original. Even then, it's still some risk with it, but it's almost like you got to make a name for yourself. And you don't want to come out the gate taking that huge risk. So I get it.
Once you get the Jordan Peele level, right? Once you got your successful Get Out, you in there.
Yeah.
Now you do whatever you want now.
Yeah.
Right. Well, not whatever you want, but they're gonna give you some budgets to work with.
Yeah.
10 million, 20 million, whatever.
Yeah. Jordan Peele slap his name on anything, I'm probably gonna watch it just
right. Exactly. So, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build credibility as a producer, as a content creator. And hopefully, people will over time, like Theo, it was very moving what he said. I'm very happy that he believes in me, and I'm hoping that more people will do that. And so I will be able to take some of those risks and create some things, and other people will too. I have, in terms of, next steps, I want to get in, like I said, I want to get into TV and film production, and who knows, once you're in the mainstream, I would love to have, like what we have here, the Bernard Riley show, but instead it's on mainstream TV. It's not limited to just YouTube, but you have to have the money and the means and the influence in order to do that. So you got to start somewhere. All
right. Black Wolf Inc. in the building. Shout out to Black Wolf Inc. Won't be right if I don't play his special. Shout out to Black Wolf Inc. He said, salute, Captain. Appreciate you having a comic book writer. What are the basics of writing and producing a graphic novel? We already went over that. So
that's fine. Very briefly.
Yeah. I wish to write. He says he wishes to write his own someday. Go ahead.
Just roll up your sleeves and get started. A graphic novel is nothing more than an extended comic book. Just Google how to comic book script. Like I said, don't do it all yourself unless you want to. Try to do either the writing or the artwork. Just hire somebody for the artwork. Make it good. Graphic novels are a little bit easier, I think, slightly easier. There's publishing agents and things that are interested in longer graphic novels like that, and so you might be able to pitch that the same way you pitch a book. But a comic book series, it's a little bit more difficult.
Right on. Theo, I don't think I got around to asking you, or I don't know if you said, like, far as comic books, was that something that you were ever particularly into, or you just saw the vision with what he was doing and wanted to get behind it, or do you got some history with comics?
I was a collector myself in high school.
Okay.
I mean, I had 6,000 Marvel.
Oh yeah, you're definitely legit then.
Yeah, I knew what was going on. I knew what, like, a good story versus something that was like kind of commercial gimmicky. So my big one was X-Men, but I knew what was good in the X-Men versus what was ridiculous. And so from there, I was able to identify why Michael was going to be successful, or what if he was legit. One of my favorite storylines, to be honest with you, is the Infinity Gauntlet with Thanos. Mm-hmm. It was a legit. I still have it in the house, and it's upstairs. I have the original ones, and that is in the comic. It's legitimately scary. It's a freakish story, but they did it well, and I'm not surprised it's a movie. In the same way, Michael and I did talk about his storylines and what his vision was, and what kind of content he was going to be producing, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's legit. So somebody will read this. It's the question is whether or not someone will know that it's there. If they don't know it's there, they're going to keep on going. It's never going to be sold. But if they know it's there, they're like, hey, this is a legit character, happens to be black, but this is a legit character regardless of his race, and you probably want to go check it out. All right, it works.
Speaking on that, you actually touched on a really good point. Have you invested in any marketing or Google ads, Facebook ads, or anything like that to help promote the comic?
Yes, I'll answer it for for Theo because he's just the financier. So he's not just a financier; he is a financier. But I handled the marketing and advertising for the comic, and the answer is yes. We did. I did a little bit of TikTok, I did a little bit of Facebook, and I did a little bit of Instagram. And it seems like Instagram works the best. So yes, we did. I did invest in paid social media advertising. And it's a good idea, but really, if you are yourself the artist, that's even better, because then you're going to have a whole scrapbook of different things that you either didn't use, or you can talk about the concept or whatever. So you can start either an Instagram or a TikTok and post all of the, like, not outtakes, but just different concepts and different things. Come up with your captions. I think particularly for TikTok, since it does concentrate on the more Asian audience and also Zennials, American Zennials, you're going to get a lot of, you can get a lot of early traction. So when it's one of the downsides of hiring, they don't really do that. They're not going to share. They don't share their like scrapbook or any of the drafts that are kind of shareable on something like TikTok. So you have a little bit of an advantage there.
Right.
Make a comment real quick. See how knowledgeable Michael is about this? I don't know about this kind of stuff. So I make a high wage. I have a huge cash flow. I know IT, cloud security really, really well. I know web application firewalls really well. And then I passively, I know about content per se, and I know if I can have a general feel if something's going to make it, or if someone's trying to pull a fast one on me. That's how I would look at it. So that's kind of the relationship that we have between myself and Michael. He tells me the details, and he tells me what he's trying to think of doing. I'm like, okay, well, that's enough. You obviously know what you're talking about. Money's coming in at this time, or this is how the financial plan will be between us. I don't think about it after that. I trust in his judgment. I trust that he's going to execute correctly, and I know what the risks are for myself. And I'm like, okay, so be it.
No pressure on me. No pressure. Let me tell you something, Bernard. When them investors come to you, they want to invest. Think 2, 3, 4, 6 times about it, okay? Because your easy going to meter gonna change real quick and be like, how am I gonna get my man's money back?
We have a contract in place. It's professional, but the way that I looked at it, again, like seed money, venture capital. And let's say this, if Michael isn't successful on the first issue, then he won't lose any money. I'll be the one who will lose the money, but then his capability for doing continued like using this as a cash flow for his future will be limited. And I knew this when I looked at the financial details and the contract, and I was like, okay, well, so he has to have skin in the game, or else he's just screwed long term. And he'll say in a bar, well, I made a comic, I made a few issues, and that was it. And I'm still drinking. I'm drinking my beer right now, and that's not what he wants. So I was like, okay, I see your drive. All right, fine.
Yeah, I started it thinking. I think I started it with my own paycheck, and Theo came in towards the middle of development. I already had. I was actually toward 3/4. We were 3/4 into it already, so I had a presentation that I had already given. I guess I didn't really share the whole entrepreneurship story about this particular thing. So I had the presentation. I had like a 17-page thing. It had, the summary. It had the outline. It had artwork already created, and I was pitching different publishers like Image Comics and other people. And of course I got all the no's, right? So I skipped that part of the story, but yes, okay, everybody told me no, whatever. I had already spent a lot of money on it and everybody told me no. So I was just going to keep going anyway. And then I finally got one yes from Theo, and that helped out a lot, because it was a lot of financial pressure for me. I'm not Theo. So I was eating, and still am, kind of eating ramen noodles in order to make, in order to do the comic book. So like I said before, I'm the type of person that kind of just bets, and I bet the horse on me. each and every single time. And Theo talks about my failures, and the music thing was the same way. It was a bit of a shit show, but it was fun though.
Yeah. So let me make comments. So one of the things that Kevin Samuels says about High Value Man is that he lists 6 points about him. This is something that you can see on a show very often right now. But if you look back originally, what he stated, one of the big points that he said is that a high value man has a failure. And I had a failure. I had a colossal one in Japan, and it. I always state that the high value man is really dominated and like I say, grounded by his failure in life. He's aware that it's there, and he doesn't want it to happen again. So a lot what I do, if you look at my financing, what I do with my cash, it's going to be one way or another directed on a failure. So I looked at, again, Michael did describe to me what his failures were, and I was like, okay, all right, you're real. This isn't a joke. You have a plan. You don't want to fail again. Gotcha. But we both know the risks. All right. Okay, it's spelled out, and I can deal with that. So let's go ahead and do it. And it's ultimately nothing ever happened about it. Well, it's a beer conversation. My system continues, but he has to pick up the pieces from that. So, okay, that's reality.
Yeah, that's reality. That's business. That's how it works. That's how it goes. That's definitely how it goes.
Yeah, it's gruesome.
Yeah, but that's how it should be. A lot of times with black businesses or black startups, it's almost like the old church past the collection plate type of deal. But you look at what other people do. No, they literally find an investor who puts something on the line, and the person who's building something has to, bust his ass to make sure that it gets done. Otherwise, he's going to be in a bad spot. The investor's going to stop investing. Everybody has to make it work. Otherwise, everybody's going to be in everybody's going to be in trouble if it doesn't. So
did the temperature go up in this room?
Yeah.
Dang.
That's how other groups get things done.
Yeah,
that's flat out how it is. But definitely like that. Good man in the middle with the super chat. He says, up next is an interview with O'Shea. Make it happen. Man, O'Shea charged like $1,000 for an interview. No, I'm just playing. I don't know that. That was a joke. I don't know if that's true. I'm just playing. But no, shout out to you. Shout out to you, good man. Appreciate the super chat. All right, we're nearing towards the end of this. We went 2.5 hours. I was actually only planning on going about 2 hours max with this, but we ended up going 2.5 hours of good conversation. I'm glad Theo Wolf came. See there, I'm going to call him Theo Wolf. Theo came up. I had no idea that you were even involved in this, so I'm glad you came up and said your piece, because man, you like I can't say enough about brothers like you. Like, that's what you're doing. Mm-hmm. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. So man, shout out to you. Got nothing but the utmost respect for you. I'm going to do everything I can to help this process along the way. I said I might make a little commercial drop that I'll periodically drop throughout the show, because sometimes when the numbers popping in here, you want to. That's a good time to take the time to advertise things. Advertise brothers doing big things. Just make a quick little commercial drop. I'm going to be doing things like that. Got big plans going forward. Want to do my part to help promote brothers trying to build and make things happen. But we're about to wrap this on up. I'm gonna pass it to Michael, see if he got some final words to get in before we get out of here. Go ahead. Let's see. Go ahead. You got the floor to take us home.
Yeah, hey, it was a pleasure being on the show. Feel free to contact me anytime. And, hey, I enjoyed it. I really don't have a lot of closing remarks. It's been good. And I do enjoy listening to your show. I listen to it when I'm doing my day job, which is going to be kind of boring sometimes. So I like when Game Changer and Zero and Fantastic and Obsidian get on, start talking. Like, oh
man.
yeah, this is good. While I'm typing away. So
Yeah.
it's good times. It's good times.
All right. Thanks. Oh, wait, no, here's another question. Well, he's asking, Southern Comfort is asking, do you have a hard copy?
No, not yet. It's just a web comic right now. It's just digital. Hard copies cost a lot of money. You got to print them up, and it can cost several. It gets into the thousands.
Yeah,
so,
that's what, yeah. Speaking of business failures, yeah, this was back when I was married. Me and my ex-wife, we had like a little local magazine, and the printing was ridiculous. That is and everything is online. But shout out to Queen Q, who has an anime store, who says she sells a lot of blurred stuff with Black Nerd. She said that you get some hard copies, she definitely will put them in her store. So if that ever comes down the pipeline, then there you have somewhere a physical location that's going to sell hard physical copies of it. So that's definitely,
I appreciate that.
That's definitely a good thing if you ever go that right. Nigatar hitting us with a super chat right at the end of the show. He says, question, is there a way I can contact you if I start working on the battle rappers idea while the Black James Bond is gaining
Sure.
traction?
Hit me up, varnercomics@gmail.com.
Yeah, just one quick reference to it, just like how we've been dropping the links to the comic. You're a few clicks away from having his contact info. I think even his phone number is on there. So I mean, he's I think I saw a number on there, but definitely his email is on there. So he's very accessible. Just he's a few clicks away. A few clicks away, you'll be able to find where to contact him. But definitely shout out to you, Nigatar. That's a funny name. Dan Christopher says you should check a YouTube channel called Black Sands. I didn't know they had a YouTube channel, but I do follow that on Instagram. It by another Black creator. Yeah, I do follow him on Instagram. But all right.
Get in there. I might have to do my own YouTube, man. Y'all. I've been seeing these super chats like, well, dang then. All right.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. Super chats. Yeah, they. Yeah. I mean, listen, audience support amongst Black men in this space in the Black manosphere is extremely strong. There are some people who've had debates about brothers not supporting other brothers, but I tend to disagree. I tend to be on the side of no, Black men support. If you give them what they want, they're a unique customer base. I'll say that. They're but a lot of media, a lot of things that's out there does not necessarily, I don't like the word cater to, but doesn't necessarily cater to what Black men actually want and want to consume. But so they're a unique customer in their products, and the product that they want to consume and that they're willing to pay for is probably very specific. And I do think the Black manosphere or aspects of it have definitely figured out how to deliver to brothers what they want and what they want to consume and how they want to consume it. And they definitely support. I think
I might have got to the wrong business. I should have got. I should have spent the money on this, on a camera and a microphone, man. Started getting on the mic.
I mean, well, the two can kind of merge to some degree. I mean, if you're promoting your comic book and you got a YouTube channel, you got an Instagram, you got all these different things going on, then going live, from those various platforms talking about it is a good way to promote. So it could be a lot of cross promotion between all of that. So those are things to think about in the future. But with that said, good people, we about to get up out of here. I'd like to thank everybody who participated in this in any way, shape, or form. Rather you super chatted, Cash App. I don't know if anybody Cash App because I don't got my phone on me. Somebody probably sent no Cash Apps. Okay, cool. I was thinking that I may have missed that. But the people who super chatted, liked, shared, subscribed, did anything to participate with today's show, I'd like to thank you very much for making all of this possible. And with that said, we are out of here. Peace.